All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully now everybody can see me. I'm going to count on Alex, who, by the way, is right there, uh, to tell me that the stream is now working. Do you see anything there, Alex?
Can confirm it is working.
Okay, good. So I already told Alex this privately, but basically YouTube changed the live streaming interface, and as Google is wont to do, they made it needlessly complicated. So like on my interface, I saw that they were receiving my stream. Everything looked good. Alex and I started talking, and then I was just sort of like checking out the chat, and I saw Mike saying like, "Oh, is it starting at 9 and not 6?" And I was like, "Oh, we got a problem." So now I have to hit start streaming in OBS, but then on that YouTube page, I have to also hit start, which is not a problem. I just didn't know. And so I'm like staring at it, and then I saw it like up in the corner. So, so yeah,
That's why I
whatever.
stick to podcasts.
Yeah, right. So yeah, anyway, obviously you see here we've got Alex from Retro Game Squad. Thank you for being here, Alex. I said this the last time. I'll say it again. Alex has it's my favorite podcast ever, and it was one of the things that inspired me to start my show. I know people have heard me say that now probably multiple times, but anytime I talk about Retro Game Squad, I'm going to throw that in there. So you guys are only doing.
We're flattered. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, yeah, thank you. I mean, you're a fan of my show too, so I'm flattered back.
Likewise.
And I said this last time. I'll say this again too. Retro Game Squad is now a quarterly show, but for a long time it was monthly. So if and how many years have you been doing that show for now?
So next month's going to be our 8-year anniversary.
So there you go. And do you know off the top of your head how many episodes you've done?
We've recorded 61 actual regular episodes, and then we've got probably 6 or 7 bonus or radio episodes, that kind of thing.
See,
So,
okay.
yep.
So if you've never listened to their show, because your episodes are, I think, the average has to be at least 2 hours long, right?
Yeah, especially as the years go on, the shows get longer and longer. So it's a long listen, but we try to pack it with a lot of humor and try to make it informative at the same time. So we have a lot of fun making it, and we have a faithful audience who seems to like it. So yeah, we're just going to keep rocking and rolling.
Yeah. So I mean, so if you've never listened to his show, you've got, you know, well over 100 hours of content that you can listen to. And I was going to say, you guys did that TurboGrafx 16 episode, which, if I remember correctly, was over 4 hours.
Yeah, that was a whopper. That was the biggest one, and it's tough to have these long episodes, and people ask to break them up, but there's nothing keeping you from listening to it a little bit here and there. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
there's a lot of content.
that's exactly what I do. I mean, I listen to it
Right.
through the podcast app on my phone, and so I'll go. I usually listen to it while I'm out cycling, for exercise there, and so I'll listen to like an hour, hour and a half of it, and when I get home, I just hit pause, and then the podcast apps remember where you left off, and so next time I go out, I just resume the episode where I left off, and I don't want to make this stream about your show, but the one thing I wanted to say about your show, because I kind of ran out of episodes of your show to listen to, and so I just went back and started listening, because I haven't listened to some of the older episodes in so long that it's almost like listening to it like it's new again. Like I don't remember. There's enough stuff about the episodes I don't remember that it feels like I'm listening to it new. And just the one thing I wanted to say is that, unlike, I would say, my show, where, and you'll probably disagree with me here, but just from the point of view of a listener, like if I go
Mhm.
back and watch early episodes of my show, they're just awful because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a format in place. And I feel like I go back and listen to early episodes of your show, and it's like you really kind of already had your format like figured out. And, you know, I think that a show of yours that's like many years old is just as good as your show now, which I just think makes it even better that there's all those old episodes that people can listen to.
I appreciate that very much, but like yourself, I try to do the best I can with our show.
Yeah.
And as the content producer or the director, I can't. If I go back and listen to those early episodes, I cringe. But
I know what you're saying, but we
I hear what you're saying. But again, as a fan of your show, going back and looking at your earlier episodes, I feel the same way about those early episodes as you feel about the early episodes of our show.
yeah,
Your your content's there, your research is there. It's just, practice makes perfect in anything in life.
sure,
So it's difficult for me to go back and listen to those early episodes.
yeah.
And typically when I'm done editing an episode, I never want to hear it again. So
I can understand
uh
that. Yeah,
but it's fun. We have fun doing it, and that's the main reason why we keep doing it. So
yeah. All right, yeah. So just once again, because somebody asked, Retro Game Squad is the podcast. You're on
yep.
iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Smart Radio. I'm forgetting one.
Spotify, all
thank
that
you.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So check it out. All right. So again, as you see, just from the title and the description, today's stream is about the Sega Saturn, and sort of the impetus behind us having this stream is that Alex and I both got, we both pre-ordered the TerraOnion MODE and got, in on the first batch of orders. And just quickly, I'll just say, I said it again, but nobody heard it. Because I always disclose if I got something from somebody in exchange for doing a stream or whatever, I'll just say like somebody sent this, whatever. But as I just said, Alex and I were both just paying customers and, put in pre-orders for our mode and got them. So like, this is not a stream that's being done out of some obligation to TerraOnion or anything. And really, this is not, we'll talk about the mode a little bit and just installing it and the user experience. But really, first and foremost, this is just a Saturn stream and not a mode stream. Is that about it? What else I got to say? What other housekeeping items? I don't think any.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. It's,
yeah.
We paid for our modes just like any other customer. And, John picked one up as well. He's one of my co-hosts, and it's going to make things easier. I know it's going to make things easier for you,
yeah,
creating content for your show, and it's going to make life easier for us being able to explore more of the Saturn library, because as everybody knows, the price of Saturn gaming over the past and specifically the last 3 years, the prices have just shot through the roof.
Yeah.
So this is really a great cost cutting measure for, as a content producer, it's going to be a big tool for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. And that's the main reason I wanted it. I've got another, not my original Saturn, but the Saturn that I've had for a while now. I have a pseudo Saturn cartridge for it. So if I just need to record gameplay footage, it's not like I can't just burn the game, but it's just an extra step and it's a pain in the butt. And so this makes it easier for me. And that's really why, because it's not like, they offered to send me one, here, we'll send you one if you want to review it. I just, the thing is, I don't like letting people send me stuff to review on the show if it's something that I want, like I feel like you're in kind of a gray area. Maybe you're crossing a line. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, I could use that for my show. So let me just pay for it. Like I do all these EverDrive, well, not all these, but I do EverDrive reviews sometimes still, but I don't need them. Like I already have what I need. And so if they want to send me an EverDrive, fine, cool. But I don't have the motivation of like, ooh, I need that. So give me that. And I'll basically pay for it by making content, because I think it's hard to remain objective when that kind of thing happens. No, not throwing shade at anybody else. I'm just saying, like, I have to conduct myself on my show in a way that I'm comfortable with. So yeah, but so anyway, so that's why I got the mode. I do only have the one. For anybody that, I don't know, does anybody in the chat not understand what the mode is? It's an optical drive emulator, which basically means it's an optical drive replacement. So you open up your Saturn, and we'll go into the details of installation here in a second, but just essentially you open up your Saturn, you remove the CD drive, and you replace it with the mode. And then the mode can take a SD card, 2.5-inch hard drive, a SATA hard drive, SATA, or for whatever reason, you can use a USB thumbstick, which I guess. And the mode is compatible. The reason I say I only got one is that the mode is compatible with both the Saturn and the Dreamcast. So like a lot of people bought two of them because they wanted to just have one living in their Saturn and one living in their Dreamcast. For me, again, this is mostly a tool for recording gameplay footage for the show. And so I don't see myself bouncing back and forth between those two systems often enough that I'm going to spend $200 buying a second one. I'll just pop it out of the Saturn and stick it in the Dreamcast if I need to. I don't know if anything's going on in the chat. I don't want to be... Could you use this to emulate a Sega CD? No, you cannot.
No, it's Sega Saturn only, or Dreamcast, depending on which system you put it in.
Right.
So it's neat that it works with both, but taking it in and out of a Dreamcast is simple.
Yeah.
The Saturn installation is involved, but once it's in, taking it back out's not the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah. Well, so we'll talk about installing it in a Saturn real quick, because you
Sure.
still have the top off of your Saturn. So
Right.
First thing I want to say, because I see some people like on Twitter and whatnot referring to this as like a mod. Because like somebody brought up the satiator already in the chat. So what about the satiator? Saying like, well, I don't want to mod my system or whatever, or I think people think it's a mod, and then some people that aren't comfortable with that kind of stuff get kind of scared off, like, oh, this requires a mod. Like, to me, like the PSIO for the PlayStation, that requires a mod. Like, I didn't even do that. I paid somebody else to do it. Or the X station that's coming out, I believe requires like extensive soldering. I'm not positive about that, but I think I've seen
I'm pretty sure
pictures.
It does, yeah.
Like Voltar just did a video about installing one. To me, that's a mod. The only tool you need is a screwdriver. And you're not like cutting any traces or removing anything that would have to be like undone. You're just unplugging the CD drive and removing it. But that being said, as you just said, the first time installation is a little bit involved. And in the same way, if you decided you wanted to take it out and put the CD drive back in, it would be the same amount of work. And the reason for that, you have to open up your Sega Saturn, which is 5 screws to get the top off. And then once you do, you have to remove the power supply, which is, I think, 2 more screws. But you unplug a couple of cables and just pop the power supply out. It's a little board. But then you actually have to unscrew the main PCB so that you can get the RF shield off. And that's like 7 or 8 screws. And once you do that, the motherboard will be loose. But this thing has a manual that shows you how to do all. Again, it's just unscrewing some screws. But I can understand that some people would be a little bit hesitant. But you have to remove the RF shield, because there are 4. What would you call them, Alex? Like standoffs, I guess.
Yeah, they're standoffs, and they screw in from the underside of the
Right.
RF shield on most Saturn models.
Yeah. And so you have to physically remove and that's why you have to remove that shield, is to unscrew those standoffs. And then you just, not get rid of them, but I would just take the 4 standoffs and the 4 screws and maybe just like put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in a drawer or something. And then at that point, you can go ahead and put the entire thing just back together, because the mode comes with like plastic standoffs that have like mounting tape on the bottom. And so what you do is you stick those plastic standoffs into 4 holes on the mode, peel off the backing from the mounting tape, and just stick it down on the RF shield. So if you did want to go back to using an optical drive, you'd have to peel off those standoffs. But it does come with 8 standoffs, so that you can also install it in your Dreamcast. Because then if you want to take the mode out, you can just pull it off of the standoffs, which kind of gets me into my next thing real quick, which is I don't know what you're using, Alex, as far as storage goes, but I was using a solid state hard drive, and for 2 reasons I pulled it out. The first reason is that if you want to add games to the solid state hard drive, you have to take the hard drive out. And the problem with that is that once you put the hard drive in there, you have to stick 2 screws in there to hold the hard drive in place. And those screw in from the bottom of the mode. So you have to pull the mode out, and that's a pain. So, but if you just use a micro SD card, then the slot is accessible. You still have to take the cover off of your Saturn to get to the SD card slot. Although there are solutions that people have pointed out
Yeah,
where
and
you
I've
will.
got a solution I'll be showing off here in a second, but
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. And so that was one of the reasons I switched away from using an SSD. The other reason is that SSD was getting pretty hot. And that's nothing against the mode. That's just the SSD just runs hot. And so like I would pop open the lid of the Saturn. There was just a lot of heat coming out of there. And that's just not, excess heat in something like this is just not good for the electronics. And I bought a 1 terabyte SSD thinking, well, that way I'll load it up with a bunch of Saturn games and load it up with a bunch of Dreamcast games. But the thing is, I downloaded pretty much every Saturn game that I think I could conceivably want. That's like most of the US library, like the vast majority, a bunch of Japanese games, and a bunch of demo discs. And it was maybe 150 gigabytes, and I have a 256 gig SD card in there. So, I ended up, I'll just repurpose the SSD. So that's what I ended up doing. And so for now, I don't foresee myself having to add anything else. But if I did, I would have to pop off the top lid because I don't have a solution. But I think, Alex, I'm going to kind of let you, you can show what it looks like with the top off. And then I guess
Sure.
you can show us, apparently you've got a better solution for I'm assuming the SD card.
Right. So I'm gonna move my mic and stuff around so you guys can get a better look at this here. So let me see if I can do this so you guys can see. So obviously, here's my Saturn. So this is a. You guys can hear me all right still?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. So my Saturn is a Model 2, a VA7 motherboard. So here's what the mode looks like after you've got it installed. So this is my SD card extender. So I've got an SD card in there. And like Chris, I've got a 256 gig SD card. I'm not looking to get a complete ROM set. So here's a better look at it.
And that's got the
And
power supply's not. I don't know if you said that or not.
yeah, so the
Power
power
supply's
supply would
out.
typically go here. And this is, I guess, something I did want to bring up with the mode. And this isn't necessarily a design issue with the mode, but we have to remember that this hardware is, depending on which motherboard revision you have, this hardware is 25 to 23 years old. So we're at the point where you really should be thinking about maybe having your Saturn recapped or recapping it yourself if you've got the skill. So one thing that is coming up a little bit here is some of these power supplies, they seem to work fine when you've got your CD drive in there. And this is an issue I'm having myself. I had previously sent this Saturn and the power supply and everything out to be recapped. And when I got it back and I popped the mode in there, the power supply was struggling. And you got to kind of take into account that these power supplies, they're old. And while the mode does work on every there's 16 motherboard revisions of the Saturn. So the mode's designed to work with all of them, and it does. But some of these power supplies are strained, and you just don't realize it until you put a mode or some other peripherals that are drawing some extra power. Because even if you're just using an SD card, the mode will draw more power than a CD-ROM drive. It just does. And then if you factor in the fact that if you start putting stuff in like an action replay card, or if you got the Brook converter, can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a new converter just came out, lets you use a whole gamut of arcade sticks and controllers on it. The Wingman SD, that alone takes another amp. So that's something to think about. If you're putting a mode in there and you're struggling and the hard drive is kind of struggling a little bit, there's another power connector also that if you're going to use a hard drive, it's really recommended that you add there's another power connector that comes with the mode. And you
But
have to
it still
kinda,
doesn't require soldering.
it doesn't require soldering,
Because
although you could if you wanted to.
I went ahead and put that in on mine, just because again,
Right.
originally I was using an SSD, and now I'm not. But obviously, I left the power connector in there. But I feel like the manual doesn't really do that great of a job of explaining how to install it. But that doesn't mean that it's difficult.
Right.
Yeah. So, but again, still there are some advanced I don't want to interrupt you, but just say quickly, there
No,
are some
sure.
advanced installation things you can do that do require soldering. I did not do any of them. Once we get into the mode interface, I'll say what the only thing is that I think might be worthwhile. But and the other thing I was going to say, though, I think I saw on Twitter, didn't somebody just design a new like replacement power supply? Maybe it was it
Yes.
Mobius Strip Tech? Maybe
It's Mobius Strip Tech.
Yeah, and that guy
It's
does.
currently sold out,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be rated, good, clean power on the rails, and it's kind of designed with mode and all these extra accessories in mind to make sure you're getting ample power that's still kosher with the Saturn's hardware and architecture. So that's something to think about. There are other third-party power supplies, but you just want to be careful that you're getting something reputable that's not kind of
Yeah.
going to do any damage or harm. You just want to do a little research before you just buy any old power supply that you see out there for the Saturn.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would trust something that Mobius Strip Tech made,
Oh,
but
absolutely. Yeah.
but it also might be worth waiting. I'm sure someone like Voltar will get their hands on one and do some testing. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's the Dreamcast or it's the Saturn. I don't remember which, but I know somebody was making a replacement power supply for one of those two consoles, where I think it was Voltar who was saying like he didn't recommend it at all. So unfortunately, there's plenty of examples in the retro gaming scene of people who are making products that you really probably should be avoiding.
The general advice is, if you can, recap the original power supply or send it out to get recapped. That's what was designed to work with the hardware originally. You know it's going to work. So if it's an option that's available to you, you always want to do that.
Yeah.
Either recap it or send it out to somebody who knows what they're doing to recap it. The original power supply is generally how you want to go. Even Mobius Strip Tech, who's selling this clean power supply, his advice is even to recap the one you have if you can.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know how much it would cost to recap only a power supply, but it's really not very many capacitors, so I can't imagine it would be, like getting your entire Saturn recapped would be, I think, quite a bit more expensive because it has a ton of surface mount capacitors. But just the power supply shouldn't be too bad. And apparently, I just saw Dragon's Horde Gaming just tweeted a couple days ago that he was noticing he's had, I think, 2 Saturns now come through his shop where the voltage regulator on the power supply was going bad and needed to be replaced. So
one of them's mine.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So he recapped the power supply in full up, like straight on. He is awesome. The issue is not his work whatsoever. He is a stand-up guy. When I took my Saturn apart to install the mode, I mean, this thing looked brand new. I mean, it is immaculate. I think the issue is, so there's 3 main sort of variations of the Sega Saturn power supply, and in one of them you can have a few different brands, and of course, as luck would have it, I kind of have the crappiest one of the bunch. So he is really doing his diligence trying to figure out what the issue is. So yeah, one of those are mine, and I don't fault him at all. And again, I'm asking the power supply to do something wasn't originally designed to do. So yeah, it's a thing. But I mean, the vast majority of people are just plugging the mode in, and it works straight up, and everything's hunky dory. It's just a few vocal minority are maybe having a problem with their power supply, and it's really an issue with the power supply, not with the design of the mode. At least in my opinion, it's not an issue with the mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's old hardware, right? I mean, this is late 90s hardware, so these capacitors were never designed to live forever. And that's something, because I remember you had I forgot his name, but you had somebody on your show who does that kind of work, recapping stuff, and he mentioned that a lot of times these producers would use lower quality parts, because if they could save 25 cents per unit, if you're selling 1 million consoles, 25 cents times 1 million is a lot of money. And so
absolutely,
whereas now if you just send your console off to somebody to have it recapped, it might cost literally an extra few dollars to use the absolute best capacitors that are available. And then, your hardware is just going to last that much longer. So I didn't have any of that work done to the Saturn. It seems to work just fine. I actually had to assemble this Saturn. I have 5 broken Saturn consoles that, some of them, none of them worked properly. Some of them didn't look as good as others. I basically just opened them up and looked for what seemed like, the best looking power supply, no bulging caps, no leaking caps, anything like that. And, put together a Saturn that seems like it's, going to work for me. So, sorry, I popped the mic here, so I'm trying to move it a little bit. So I think we've probably bored people long enough with all this hardware talk. Unless you had something else that you wanted. You seem like you got something else maybe you want to say. Yeah.
So Brian's asking, what are signs that a cap is going bad, or is it just a time or age thing? I mean, at this point, it's kind of an age thing, but a sign of a cap going bad might be, for example, if you are seeing horizontal waves across the screen, that's a sign that your power supply is struggling a little bit. If you put in the mode and you start seeing that kind of behavior, that's a sign. And obviously, like Chris just said, bulging caps or leaking caps. I mean, a good thing to do would be to open up your Saturn. The power supply is visible as soon as you take the top off. So just take a look at it, see if the tops are bulging, if they're leaking or whatever. And it's not a bad idea. Or sometimes it can read to the CD drive struggling a little bit too. So that's a few things you can look for.
Yeah. Although I would just say that yes, if it's bulging or leaking, it's electrolytic fluid or whatever. Obviously, it's bad, but just because you look at a capacitor and you don't see those things doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfectly good. But
correct.
The main problem is that if that stuff is let go and it releases, if it leaks out that fluid, it's going to eat your PCB. So if that's not happening, then I wouldn't say it's an emergency that you get the stuff fixed. If your console is still running okay and you don't see any problems, I would just think about in the future, like, at some point I need to send this console off and have it serviced, and then you'll get at least another 25 or 30 years worth of enjoyment out of it. I just want to say quickly, I see Smoke Monsters here. So
yeah, I saw. Very cool.
So, hey man. All right. That's about it, I think. So that's the end of the stream. You guys can all, no, it's not. We're going to play a bunch of games now. So I'm going to switch the view so we can start playing a game. Like, I'm going to be mostly playing games, but again, one of the reasons that Alex is here, besides the fact that he's my friend, is that Alex here owned a Saturn back in the day. And in fact, you got yours the year it came out. So, not like on launch day or anything, but I mean, you had a Saturn for pretty much its entire life, right? So
I was pretty much in on the ground floor. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to play some elevator action returns. And while I do that, Alex is just going to start waxing nostalgic about the Sega Saturn. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Right on. Yeah. So at the time the Saturn came out, which was of course May of '95, I was actually working at Funko Land. And a customer comes in and goes, well, do you have the Saturn? I go, no, that's not coming out till September, man. And the customer's like, well, EB Games across the street has it. And I'm like, get out of town. And so after work, I go over there, and sure enough, it's there. So I'd been planning to save up for this thing, but, it wasn't anywhere close. So it's funny how faulty sometimes my memory gets. But, on my podcast, I'd said that, I got my Saturn 3 weeks after launch.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I was mistaken because right about this time from like the mid 90s to the mid 2000s, any video game stuff I bought, I would throw the receipt in a shoebox. So I went through that shoebox this weekend, and sure enough, I found the receipt to when I bought my Sega Saturn. So I don't know if you guys can see that very well.
It's not really focusing too well, but you can just tell us what's on there.
Yep. So looks like I picked it up on August 26th of 1995. I bought Daytona USA, the Sega Saturn, and a spare controller. and was $517.62 poor when I walked out.
Wow, and that's in $1996.
That's 1996 bucks. So I didn't regret it. I still don't regret it. It's the first optical media-based system I ever owned, and I was in love with it from day one. And the Saturn is really like my favorite console of all time, maybe neck and neck with the NES. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but it was really started with my fondness of Sega's arcade games, and of course, all of those games got ported, and we can kind of critique these games like Daytona USA and all these games that they didn't look as good as the arcade. They didn't, have all the detail. But what I always felt about Sega's conversions to the Saturn is that the feel of the game is there. Sure, there's ridiculous pop-up in Daytona USA, but it felt like the arcade game, at least to me it did. And I was in love with it from day one. And then I picked up Night Warriors, Darkstalker's Revenge, and that kind of started my obsession with Capcom's 2D fighters on the platform. And it was an exciting time to be into the Saturn at that time in '95. So I picked it up.
That's Darkstalkers 2, basically, right?
Exactly. So, and to this day, that game looks ridiculous. You play that NES video in RG or with an RGB or component connection, it's a gorgeous game and it animates beautifully. And it's that kind of stuff that really drew me to the Saturn. It's what was available on the Saturn really catered to my taste as a gamer. And so I was huge in a Die Hard Game Fan magazine. They were covering all the Japanese imports, and I was importing games from National Console Supply or NCSX.
Yeah.
Because they were an East Coast based importer. So I could get the games a little bit quicker and a little bit cheaper rather than going through Game Fan. So, yeah, I imported a ton of games, and I'm at about a little over 100 physical games for the Saturn, and I'd say 70% of them, I bought those games when they came out originally. And it's just a lot of fun. It's really great if you start exploring the import libraries. A lot of people know at this point. So it was awesome. And I remember rushing after work to pick up Street Fighter Alpha when that came out, because at the time I was a massive Street Fighter fan. And of course those conversions on the Saturn were ace.
Hey, so I'm sorry if you said this and I missed it. But so you said you were importing games through NCSX.
Yeah.
But did you take your Saturn somewhere and have somebody pop a mod chip into it, or?
I did.
I mean, you don't need a mod chip actually to play import games. You can just add a region switch, I guess, right?
Right. So I didn't get, correction. I didn't get a mod chip. I got region switches installed, and then the Pro Action Replay became a thing, and then I went that route. So you can play imports with just the Action Replay card? Yeah, the Pro Action Replay, yeah, you can play imports with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that just because I put a region switch in my Saturn. So
okay, yeah. So the Saturn box you see behind me, that's actually the launch Saturn I got in August of '95, and my launch Saturn is still sitting in there, and that one's got a region switch in it. And I remember also buying. For a while there, EB Games was selling import Saturn games. So my copy of Radiant Silvergun was actually purchased at EB Games. My copy of Deep Fear was purchased at EB Games.
Do you remember how much they were charging for import games?
I don't remember.
What kind of premium did you
saw
pay?
the receipt in my shoebox the other day. I should have got it out, but it wasn't exorbitant. It was about $70, $60, something in that ballpark.
That's not too bad.
Especially
if you got Radiant Silver.
Yeah. G Status, I agree. X-Men vs. Street Fighter was just ridiculous when I imported that and played that for the first time, to see an arcade perfect Capcom fighting game. And after the initial load, the game just loads like that, and it's really impressive. And It's just it just catered to my taste, and we're looking at elevator action here, and
Did you
this
have
is
this
a game
one?
I'd always wanted.
Oh.
I don't. And, you know, this is part of the reason why I got the mode. I'm just priced out of the market. You know, like I said, the majority of my games I bought when they came out.
Yeah, this is an expensive game.
It absolutely is. And so it's just, it's nice to be able to play these games on original hardware. And of course, you know, it's not like Mode's the only game in town. Of course, you have the Rhea, you have the Phoebe, you have the Fenrir, you have the Satiator coming out with all the controversy around that. For what it is, you know, if it does what it says on the box, and by most accounts it does, you know, again, it's just all of us now can actually play these games without paying an arm and leg or having to, you know, burn CDRs and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's been an awesome ride to see. You know, the Saturn was, after about 98, the Saturn just trailed off. And that's when I started buying a lot of controllers, because I knew that sooner or later these controllers are going to not be around. So I was buying Saturn controllers for, you know, 15, 10 bucks a pop. I've got a bunch of them. And Chris, I remember you were on a live stream with Smoke Monster like a week or two ago.
Yeah. Controller Gaiden, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go. This
I'm gonna pause it.
this sucker's for you. So
nice.
I'll put that aside for you.
See, I'm using.
So I know you've been wanting one.
I'm using this one. Oh, you're sending that to me? Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Oh
wow.
yeah.
Sorry,
so
I thought you just meant like you're showing it to me, like this bud's for you.
Oh no. This one's yours. This
wow.
one I'm going to ship you this one.
Thanks, man.
But here is before Sega was really packaging the Model 2 style controllers with the Saturns.
Yeah.
They were selling the actual Japanese ones in American packaging.
I did not
So
know
here's
that.
one. Here's one. This one's still brand new, still in the box, because that's how I roll. But yeah, so there's all sorts of neat little things. And, you know, I don't have any of the weird esoteric kind of stuff like the floppy disk drive or anything like that. But, you know, being a Saturn fan, you know, I just made sure that every time I got something, I just never got rid of it. I just held on to it.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome.
So you had, sorry if you said this, you know, I'm trying to listen
Sure.
to you and play a game, but so since you got your Saturn so early on, you had the original controller, like the Model 1 controller or whatever.
Yep. Don't have any more of them. I should probably get one or two.
I don't think I have any either.
Just for posterity's sake.
I saw somebody in the chat. Oh yeah, Sega Dream says, "Am I the only person that likes the US Model 1 controller?"
I believe you are.
You might be.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I mean, I haven't used
Street
one.
Fighter on that was ripping my thumb apart.
Wow. I haven't used one in so long that I can't really remember even that well. But I think that was the first Saturn controller that I had.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of compare it to the Duke a little bit. It was bigger than it needed to be, over-engineered. You know, the Saturn these controllers, I want to say they just have one PCB in them, and I think those actually might have had 3 PCBs. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, they're bigger, bulkier than they needed to be. Although the analog triggers on them were a little more responsive to my recollection. But elevator action is a lot of fun. So I was at MagFest before all the madness hit, and I just was liquored up and spent like a good 2-3 hours. I played through the entirety of elevator action in the arcade.
Well, you're
and MagFest, and it's great. It's
they had the arcade version.
Yeah, they had the actual arcade board.
Because the Saturn version here limits the number of continues that you get. So I've never actually been able to beat this game. I've never really tried to put, I guess, the time into it to try, I suppose. But I always just play it until I run out of continues, you know.
Right. Well, that's the beauty of MagFest, liquor and infinite credits. Hey, you're good to go. So that was a lot of fun.
And I haven't checked the options menu of this game. It may very well allow you to adjust the number of credits that you get, but
sure.
You know, we got other games we want to play tonight anyway, so that's okay. But yeah, I mean, as you guys can see, just to talk about the game real fast, because like, you know, I mentioned on at least I must have mentioned on an episode of Flashback, you know, that I had elevator action returns for the NES, and you know, that was just sort of a home conversion of the original arcade game, whereas this is a home conversion of I guess the arcade sequel, unless there was more than two. But you know,
not to my knowledge.
Yeah,
but
mine either.
Again, I could be wrong there.
But you saw that the first level of the game really is sort of like a I don't know if you call it an homage, but it, you know, is meant to sort of harken back to the original game.
Original game, yeah.
But once you, it's kind of like, you know, I just did that video on this channel about my Game Boy collection, and you know, I was talking about Donkey Kong.
I was just gonna bring up the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, somebody could play this game and just play the first level and just be like, oh, it's just elevator action with better graphics. But it's only the first level, and then once you're done with that, you can see that now it turns into a much better side-scrolling action game. I mean, I guess better is subjective, but you know, certainly has a lot more variety. I mean, it's obviously really very linear, but the way these levels are laid out doesn't make that linearity like super in your face. And
right.
And yeah, I mean, it's just a really cool, fun game.
Yeah, another cool thing that was going on the Saturn at the time was, of course, the NetLink here.
Yeah, so explain to the folks at home what the NetLink is and what you did with it.
Yep. So this is a dial-up modem. You would plug in, obviously, into the cartridge port of your Saturn, and the framework for the NetLink was actually an expanded version of the framework for X-Band on the Super NES and the Genesis. So there was an X-Band interface. You created your gamer tag, and you could dial in with an ISP, and you can use the X-Band service. So each game, so here's the NetLink version of Sega Rally Championship. So the, and by the way, the NetLink came with Virtual On and Sega Rally NetLink Edition.
Oh, wow.
So what you could do is, when you boot up these games without a NetLink in, they just kind of look and play exactly like the original releases. But when you have a NetLink in the cartridge port, you'll see extra options come up. And then what you could do is you can, with your ISP, of course, get online and get to basically I guess you could call it like a message board for each specific game. And then you can meet up with people and play each other. And you can still use the NetLink today, even without an ISP, if you have a landline, because the interface does allow you to direct dial an opponent. So if you have a landline, you can still do this. The other neat thing about this was, of course, here's the web browser, and I also, because this is me, I picked up the Saturn mouse, and I have the keyboard adapter somewhere. It's in a controller box there somewhere. But the cool thing about the web browsers, there were Saturn-specific, again, forums or message boards you can go to. And one of the cool things you could do is, say you had a save file in your Saturn's backup memory, you can upload that save file and share it with other people. So my save for Vampire Savior, so Vampire Savior has an option where if you beat the game under certain conditions, it unlocks an additional option screen. And in that option screen, you can actually change the text to English, among other things. So I was having trouble meeting the criteria to unlock this thing. So I went online with a web browser and went into a forum and found somebody had uploaded the save file for Vampire Savior with all those goodies unlocked. So my Saturn, or my save file for Vampire Savior, even in 2020, is something I downloaded on my Saturn to my Saturn, you know, ages ago. And what's funny is all the high scores have the letters Z-O-R. So Zor, whoever you are, thank you for that save file. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome that you were able to, that you could do that.
Yeah, so it you know, it's surprising Virtual On was remarkably playable on a dial-up modem. It was really impressive. I remember being very impressed with it. Sega Rally was also playable, but it was really Virtual On with the sort of hectic and frantic action going on. I was impressed, and I remember playing Bomberman Online because Saturn Bomberman had a versus mode where you could have 2 people on each Saturn while you're playing online. Not that competes with the 10-player local versus mode, which is amazing. I remember playing Duke Nukem 3D, a little versus action on there, although I didn't play that one too much. But I mostly played Virtual On online, and it was awesome. And I had the same gamer tag I did on the Super NES X-Band, and it was a lot of fun. This was in the era when Sega was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks a little bit. And you saw that continue with Dreamcast quite a bit. But especially with them including the dial-up modem with every Dreamcast, that was a pretty gutsy move at the time.
For sure.
Yeah. So the Japanese version of the NetLink cartridge actually looks like the X-Band cartridge for the Super NES and the Genesis.
So I'm trying to concentrate.
And no, it's cool. And this is the cool part about elevator action. It's adding bosses, and like we were saying, it's like Donkey Kong in that the first level plays much the same, but then the game expands and kind of adds new gameplay mechanics. But yeah, X-Band was awesome back in the day. I loved X-Band on the Super Nintendo. Played a butt ton of Super Street Fighter 2 on that one.
I can never figure out, like, this part, I can never figure out how to do this without losing a bunch of lives. Like, this right now is like my Achilles heel.
Right. The secret for me was alcohol.
Oh, see.
And I somehow made it,
See,
yeah.
I only have water. That's my problem.
Yeah, so do I. I only drink for special occasions, and Mag is one of them.
Well, I normally only drink on days that end in Y, but...
okay, well, fair point.
Yeah. But I just don't want to be drinking during a live stream, I guess. I mean, I do that sometimes, but not sure it's a good idea, so...
No, I don't. I'm not a big fan of alcohol these days.
Yeah, I would like to stop being such a fan of alcohol, but I always get so much more done. Like, I'll go through these, like, streaks where I'll quit drinking for, 6 months or something. And, it always only has, positive effects. But for some reason, I just really like beer. It's the only alcohol I drink is beer. I just really like it. But, I don't know, maybe I should try near beer or something. I mean, that sounds terrible to me, but maybe I can wean myself off that way. Especially like, it's in the summer, maybe I'm outside grilling or something. And
right, yeah.
I mean, there are some pretty good breweries that make a non-alcoholic beer. Maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah, I'm just not a beer fan. There's just a few beers I like. I like Sapporo. And there's a German beer I like called Weinstepaner. I think that's how you pronounce it. Oh, dude,
yeah. I was buying...
That's a good one.
Earlier this year,
delicious.
They were selling cases of it at one of the local stores. You got like a whole case, but it was like 4 different 6-packs.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you could sample different stuff. All right, you can't stand there. You just get squashed. All right, see, I'm at a continue, so we got to play something else now. So... but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to cross that one off the list. I didn't mention this, by the way. I mentioned it to Alex, but not to anybody else. Last time Alex was on the show was also a Saturn live stream. And so I wrote down all the games that we played last time, and we're not going to be repeating anything. So, people are asking, are you going to play this? You going to play that? And like, not if we played it last time. So the games we played last time, just quickly, Christmas Nights, Panzer Dragoon 2, Sega Rally, Layer Section, Night Warriors, which you mentioned there, Darius Gaiden, and Virtua Cop 2.
Ooh.
So, although I did see somebody in the chat asked if we were going to play any Virtua Fighter tonight. It would be kind of cool to load up Virtua Fighter 2. So I'm going to...
Actually, it would, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to add that one to the list here. Um, I mean, I don't know. Actually, we can play it right now, but I'm loading it up with the caveat that I'm not good at it at all. And I mean, later we're going to check out Street Fighter 03, and it's going to be the same thing. Like I am not good at it. So, yeah, Smoke Monster says you like my setup. Well, yeah, I mean, it should look familiar to you. You know, I took
right.
I took some cues from a good friend of mine who curates ROM packs. So yeah. So this is our first time looking at the mode interface. So this is the interface. I don't know if this is worth even bringing up for some. If you're somebody that uses an upscaler to play your games on an HDTV, this would be, I guess, maybe pertinent information for you. This interface is in interlaced mode, and I think that's because it's a higher resolution mode. If I'm not mistaken,
yeah, I believe that's running in 480i as opposed to 240p.
Yeah.
So yeah, some upscalers struggle with that.
Yeah. Sorry, Electron Ash says, "Oh, I'm using a sound bar," and then makes a little noisy face thing there. Yeah. Well, listen, I didn't make this overlay. First of all, my friend Yura made it for me. But it fits nicely in there. It looks nice having the sound bar. Maybe, I mean, obviously you, Ash, are anti sound bar, so perhaps you'll be happy to hear that my sound bar upstairs just died. So that's what I get for using a sound bar. The problem is that these days, like the speakers that are built into TVs are just trash. You know, like back in the day when we had big CRTs, there was room in there, especially like the wooden console CRTs. There was room in there to put some proper speakers. But, now you don't have that room. And so you have to use something external. And so, yeah, I was using a sound bar. I think, I have these long-term plans to have my home stereo sort of in the same place as my TV. Because I have like these old, Pioneer HPM 100, floor standing speakers from the 70s. And I was going to get that all hooked up. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But maybe in the short term, I might just buy a nice pair of powered, powered monitors or something and plug those. I mean, you got to do something. And, I don't do surround sound in my house just because I don't really watch. Generally, I would say I don't watch things that would take advantage. I don't watch a lot of movies, and if I do, they're old movies. So, and plus, I'm not going to put speakers all over my living room. If you do that, great. Like, let me come over to your house and watch a movie. But I don't do it too much. I mostly watch old movies from the 80s and whatnot. So yeah.
I'm right there with you on the soundbar, by the way. I'm still rocking a soundbar, although I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I'm still doing all of my current gen stuff on a 720p plasma, and you will have to try that thing for my dead clutches. I've already paid to have it resurrected.
Yeah, I mean
once.
it's it's only 720p, but it's plasma, so
it's plasma. Oh, that thing is beautiful. But yeah, I'm rocking a soundbar with it, and I'm with you, Chris. Like, I mean, good audio is important, but my basement just doesn't lend itself well to a surround sound setup. So I just rock the soundbar, and I'm happy with it. And it's whatever you're happy with, just do it, man.
Hey, you see, John the Genius Hupp is in the chat there. What's up, John?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah, John, fun fact about John, he is the only member of Retro Game Squad that hasn't been on my show yet. So.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to correct that in the future.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about how this interface works because, honestly, again, this is not supposed to be some kind of mode review. If you want to watch what, in my opinion, was a very good mode review, watch Game Sacks. He goes all through the interface.
Yeah, he does.
And I will say the funny thing about that is, how do you even do this? So I'll show this real quick. Game list mode, I keep it on list. You can put it on covers here. And then how do I get out of it? Okay. So now watch. It's going to read the game list. And what? I put it on there. I didn't like where I put it. Well, that's fine anyway because I hate it. So if I go in here, really, it's not going to... Wow. All right. I guess it didn't like where I put it. Well, that's fine. So basically, there's this big file you can download from TerraOnion that has the cover art for like pretty much every Saturn game, not quite every Saturn game. And then that way you can see all the game covers instead of seeing the list. But on the Saturn, it's super slow because I think it must be using the Saturn's processor or something to generate all that. That's the only reason I can think of why it's slow on the Saturn, but it's fast on the Dreamcast. So I checked it out and it was so slow. I was wondering, like, is there something wrong with my setup? And then I watched the GameSack review, and no, it's just super slow. So on the Saturn, I highly do not recommend it. And as far, I mean, I don't. Is there anything else that you can think of, Alex, about the interface that you think is noteworthy? I mean, it's nice. It's got nice graphics, and you can pick your game. And other than that, I mean, I don't know. It just works. So I don't have.
Yeah, I'm not using the covers either. I'm perfectly happy with the list. I mean, if you want to, you can kind of poke around the menus and see the different options in there. But again, GameSack pretty much covered all of that good stuff. So, it is important to note that TerraOnion is pretty much releasing new firmware on a fairly consistent basis. There was a pretty big firmware release that was a big help to me because I ripped my entire Saturn library myself using image burn.
Yeah.
And that bin-Q format wasn't working at first. And then,
wow.
A few of us were like, hey, is this a thing you can maybe do in a firmware update? And sure enough, they did. So, I ripped my entire Saturn library, and I know it's kind of pointless, but I just kind of like the idea that the games I'm loading on my Saturn actually came from the discs I own. And then, I downloaded another, 20, 30 games that I wanted and can't afford. But I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just a pretty simple interface. It's fairly similar to the Mega SD, actually.
For sure,
nothing wrong with that.
The only other thing I will say real quick about the interface, and that, again, I thought I copied that database file. I think I did copy it, and I bet I just didn't put it in the right place. But
you're supposed to put it in the root folder, not in the Saturn folder, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's what I did, is put it in the Saturn folder.
Because if you put it in the Saturn folder, it's not going to work. It's got to be in the root.
But so the only other thing I was going to say about that is it also contains a little bit of metadata about the games. Specifically, it has the genre of the game, because if you have that, you can actually, if you want to say like, well, I want to play a shooter, I don't know which one, but I want to play a Japanese shooter, I can go into the Japan subfolder you see here, and you could filter it out and only look at shooters. But you can't do that because I didn't put the database file on there. But that it's not something that I would use, but some of you might. Sorry, I saw Tahid asked, am I wearing my Bayer Dynamic earbuds? No. I do own a pair of Bayer Dynamic earbuds, but I'm not wearing them or using them. Anyway, what was I doing? I was going to play Virtua Fighter. Okay, so we hit A here to go in. And this is the other thing. It has to read the game list like every time, but it takes like 1 second, so it's not a big deal. But I think on the Mega SD, it only reads the game list the first time and then makes a little database file so that in the future it just like loads right up, if I remember correctly. But like, I mean, I don't care. It's like maybe a second and a half that you have to wait.
It's a non-issue as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll just say real quick. So these are all, I did not rip any of my own games. These are all redump games. And I noticed in the chat a while ago, somebody was saying that the redump games were gone from archive, and that's really not actually true. It's the one guy that I guess was sort of curating the main redump set on archive, took all of his stuff down for reasons that are not clear to me and sound like the kind of thing I don't want to talk about on my show anyway. But you can still go to archive.org and type Saturn redump, and there are other redump sets there. So they might not be quite as complete. I think one of them was missing one of the games that I wanted, but they're like 99% complete. So you can still get all your games on archive.org. Somebody in the chat is asking for Virtua Fighter Kids. So I've never played it, so I'd be curious to check it out. But let's play Virtua Fighter 2 first, just to check that out. And then that'll give us some contrast. because I'm not going to play Virtua Fighter 2 for very long because I'm not good. And then we'll check out Virtua Fighter Kids real quick, and then we'll get back to the... I actually already have a list of games to play here. So I just hit A to start the game. Luckily in OBS it doesn't show... the Saturn switches back and forth between 240p and 480i a lot. And I'm using a FrameMeister as an upscaler, and it doesn't do a good job of keeping up. It creates a several second delay, and normally it'll there'll be a little spinny thing that says like no signal or something, and it's really annoying, like if I'm recording gameplay footage. But here in OBS we don't have that problem. So and I mean, this is getting into the weeds, but if anybody cares, I have the picture mode in the FrameMeister set to I think it's called natural, because that's better for it gives you a little bit of a softer picture when it's 240p content, but it has a de-interlacer in it so that you don't get the interlaced crap in 480i. Because I think, Alex, maybe I feel like Virtua Fighter 2 runs in 480i if I'm not mistaken.
It does. Yeah.
So if I didn't have that mode on, this would look like crud right now.
Yeah, and another one of the games you're going to be playing later also runs in 480i. But yeah, I remember when Virtua Fighter 2 came out in the arcade. It was at the local putt-putt, and me and my buddy heard about it, so we rushed over there. And that game just blew me away. The visual leap from Virtua Fighter 1 to 2 was nothing short of ridiculous. I mean, our jaws were on the floor. So naturally, when they said it was coming out for the Saturn, I was stoked. And I picked it up the day it came out, took it home, and and I was such a spoiled brat, because I remember being disappointed that the backgrounds in the Saturn version were lacking the polygon structures. But that being said, I mean, this is one of the most technically impressive games on the Saturn, and it came out very early in the system's lifespan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a solid 60 frames per second, and it just looks astounding for the time. I mean, you got to remember, I mean, this is 1995 we're talking about, and it just, man, this game just blew me away on the Saturn, and it lived up to the hype. I think it did live up to the hype. And AM2, they really kind of got everything they could out of the Saturn's architecture, because the Saturn's got a total of 8 CPUs that do a variety of different things.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking over my notes from when we did the podcast. So yeah, it's got a total of 8 processors, the twin Hitachi SH2s that are clocked at 28.6 megahertz. And those same Hitachi SH2s were also in the 32X, just running at a lower clock speed. But it's got a sound controller, it's got a sound processor with a DSP, the two video display processors, which are the VDP1 and VDP2. So the VDP1 handles sprites and geometry, and the VDP2 is running the backgrounds and the scrolling. So the floor you're seeing, not that the characters are standing on, but underneath that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's running off the VDP2.
Yeah. Just real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but just real fast.
No, please.
Somebody in the chat was asking about the black bar at the top, and you guys may have seen that I ended up moving it a little bit. It just seems like it varies by game. Like, this should be closer to where it should be, but like for elevator action, I had to adjust the position of the gameplay footage a little bit. And I didn't notice anybody asking about it in the chat, because like it's not a big deal. But just real quick, the reason I'm using this overlay, this modern overlay, is just because of sort of the different aspect ratio that some Saturn games use, especially if you get into the Japanese ones. Like the shooters, there are a lot of shooters on the Saturn that are vertically scrolling shooters in the arcade, like they're Tate games. And they maintained that aspect ratio at home. They flipped it 90 degrees and then they took out some lines of pixels to scrunch it down. But there's black bars on the sides, and it was just going to look kind of stupid, I think, if I used my sort of retro gaming overlay. So And then you correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm thinking of the wrong game, Alex, but I think it was this game. I was just reading on Usenet the other night, kind of what people were saying about this game back in the day. And some people were complaining, I think it was this game, that the backgrounds in this game are 2D. But like all the foreground stuff is 3D, but in the backgrounds it's 2D, because in the arcade it was 100% 3D, which I feel like if somebody's complaining about that in a home port, I mean, come on, man. But people like to complain, I guess. So
yeah, that was the one thing, like I'd mentioned, that was a little bit of a disappointment for me, but I got over it really quick, just because, again, just how the game runs. I mean, it feels and plays like the arcade version. The combos I was doing in the arcade were working seamlessly in the home version. So, I got over that really quick. I mean, the game still looks incredible. And honestly, it was Mike McFly was kind of saying about how he got this game with the triple pack with the Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Cop, and Daytona.
I have that, yeah.
Man, that was a hell of a deal.
That's how
All
Jeff.
three of those games.
That's how Jeff on your show got his Saturn too.
Yeah, exactly. And Virtua Cop is remarkably close to the arcade version. Same with Virtua Cop 2. Both of those, I would say, are some of the best and closest arcade conversions that Sega did on the Saturn from the arcade. And I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but if you've got a mouse for the Saturn and you don't have a light gun, use this thing with Virtua Cop 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it'll put
way better than...
It'll put a little reticle on the screen for you there?
Absolutely. And I
didn't know that.
The mouse it's got 3 buttons and a start button. So Virtua Cop 1 and 2 with a mouse is way better than a controller. Not as good as a light gun, obviously, but still really good.
Oh man, I think my mouse is upstairs. Or if I had known that, we could have played some. I'm leaning too far that way. I could have played some Virtua. Oh, we played Virtua Cop 2 last time, but like I've never played it with the mouse, so that would have been cool to check out. But that'll just have to wait till next time. He got me. Like I said, I'm not that great at this game, but this game only uses 3 buttons, which same thing with the first Virtua Fighter, which is sort of unique for fighting games. And in fact, you could buy an arcade stick. I don't know if it was sold here or not, but certainly in Japan, there was an arcade stick that they sold for the Saturn that only had 3 buttons because it was specifically made. Wow, elbow drop, huh? It was specifically made for this game. And I actually have that controller, and it's kind of a shame because you're very limited in what games you can play with it because you don't have 6 buttons. This is already like farther than I thought I was going to get in the game, so... Oh yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any farther. This chick seems like she means business.
Yeah, I remember seeing the attract mode where it's the in-game graphics and the characters are doing their kata or their forms, and just being like blown away, like holy crap! It's still a good technical achievement. And in fact, if you ever play Dead or Alive on the Saturn, I want to say it's running off the same game engine. And it also is high resolution, 60 frames a second, and it's also absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
All right, she got me. All right, so that's the end of that. Brian wants to know, what kind of cables do you use with this? I'm using a RGB SCART cable. I think it's from Retro Gaming Cables, but I don't remember. I always forget because there's the one SCART cable manufacturer in the UK. I think that's Retro Gaming Cables, but then there's the one that's here in the US, and both of them make great cables either way. But the Saturn also outputs S-Video natively, so you can just use that, and that's awesome. And are there what's the name of the company? You know, the component cables, Alex? Do you have those?
HD Retrovision.
Yeah. Do they make component cables for the Saturn? Or?
Yeah. So they use the Genesis Model 2 cable, and they have an adapter that's Saturn to the Genesis 2.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so because I have so I do pretty much all of my Saturn gaming on a Sony Trinitron with S-Video, and it looks, to me, it looks great.
Yeah.
But I do have HD Retrovision cables that I use occasionally with. I have an HD widescreen CRT, and I do use it with that TV once in a while. But I've never actually tried it on my plasma. I'm pretty sure it'll work. It's a Samsung, so I'm pretty sure that'll accept the 240p signal. So I should try it on that TV and see how it looks.
Yeah. So somebody in the chat mentioned Retro Access. So that's the U.S. Cable maker is Retro Access. They also make really good cables. And then Brian, with the follow-up question, this is going into a FrameMeister. I'm just not sure. I have an OSSC and it's great and everything, but sometimes I feel like there's too much that I have to fiddle with, as far as settings goes. Whereas I just have like presets on a micro SD card for the FrameMeister. So people seem to like the OSSC better because maybe it's like lower lag and whatever else. But I like using both, but the FrameMeister is the one that kind of lives on my desk because I feel like there's more that I can do with it. Especially like another thing with the OSSC is it really doesn't seem to get along well with Nintendo consoles. Like I have an RGB modded NES, and then I also have a couple of Super Nintendos, and I think I can't do anything more than line doubling with either one of them. So if I'm recording gameplay footage, line doubling is not going to give you that sharp, because it's going to get further upscaled when I edit it, upscaled to 1080p, and if you go 480p to 1080p, it's going to be blurry. So, but sorry, the one thing I wanted to mention. Since I just, restarted it. So I had to turn off the power to the Saturn and turn it back on to get back to this interface. There's not like a button combination you can hit. And I think that's a thing with the hardware of the Saturn. Like the mode I don't think can sit there and monitor the controller ports and let you pop back in. I could be wrong.
So I think TerraOnion did release a firmware update that there is a way to do it. I want to say it might be a different button combo. I don't know because I haven't tried it for myself because power supply's out right now. But I think they did try to come up with some kind of workaround through a firmware update. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I think I'm using the latest firmware update, but maybe that's true.
I think you have to go in the options and actually enable it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say earlier when I mentioned that there were optional installation things you could do that did require soldering. There's like an expansion port, if you want. I don't know what else to call it, on the mode. It has some pins on it that give you access to some like advanced features, if you want to call it that. And you can solder a wire to one of the solder pads on the reset button, and then connect that wire to the appropriate pin on the expansion port. And then when you hit the reset button, it will reset to this mode interface instead of just resetting the game. Because right now, if I have a game that I'm playing, if I hit reset, it's just going to restart the game. So there you go. All right, so we'll check out. I've never played Virtua Fighter Kids before, so we can check that out, like I said, real fast. But then we're going to get back to our list here. And while it's booting, I'm going to hydrate a little bit. I had a horrible headache today, and I figured out that I think it's because I was just dehydrated.
That'll do it. Low blood sugar will do it. Caffeine withdrawal would do it.
Well, that's the other thing I realized is that I forgot to drink. I forgot to drink coffee this morning, which might sound weird. Like, how do you forget to drink coffee? But normally, I wake up and I make coffee for myself and also for my wife. But this morning I overslept, and so my wife made her own coffee. And by the time I woke up, I mean, we're both working from home, but she was like in her home office working. And so she had to make her own coffee. And so because I wasn't thinking about making her coffee, I just plumb forgot to make coffee for myself. Wow, all right. So was this actually a game that was being marketed towards kids, or like was it just sort of a chibi version of, like, do you think kids were actually buying? I mean, were kids buying Saturns to begin with?
I I don't know, because the gameplay is still pretty much straight up Virtua Fighter 2, which is, I mean, not beginner friendly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more just a chibi thing, me personally.
Wow, look at that. All right, we'll be loud this time.
So Steven's asking what the next episode's on. It's going to be Japanese imports. That's the topic of our next podcast, which was supposed to be recorded in March, but hey, better late than never. So, but we just did an impromptu DOS episode that was supposed to originally be like a bonus episode, and it just kind of grew into this a full-fledged episode. So big props to John for putting that together, and it was our first ever live episode, and went off without a hitch.
Yeah, I still haven't listened to that. Well, mostly because I haven't been able to go cycling for the past week. But I was kind of bummed out, when you invited me to be a part of that episode, because I just couldn't. It was too short a notice. But I was such a huge DOS gamer back in the day. But that's why I think I told you that. But I think maybe it's better I wasn't on there, because I think I would have talked too much. Like, I just have
nothing wrong with that.
Too much I could say about that. Wow, I don't know how much I'd really want to play this like long term, but I got to say it's pretty entertaining to check out. I guess it's sort of like Pocket Fighter, right?
No, because Pocket Fighter is a much more simplified version of a Street Fighter or Capcom fighting game. I mean, it's got the cute aesthetics, but I feel like Pocket Fighter kind of does more with its property than this game does.
I noticed though when at the character select screen after you pick your character, you had normal and kids mode. So, but even in normal mode, this definitely feels to me like it's a lot easier. I mean, these guys aren't lasting very long with me beating the crap out of them. So, I mean, this definitely feels to me a lot easier than regular Virtua Fighter.
The difficulty and damage scaling have probably been tweaked. I mean, it's been probably a solid 6 or 7 years since I played this one.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I feel like that's enough. Somebody got their fill of Virtua Fighter kids there. And it is definitely cool. Don't get me wrong. We got a list here. So, all right. So what have we done here now? Okay. Mark that one off. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think next, Alex? Do you want to go with a shooter, or?
Yeah. Let's. How many shooters do you want to do? A couple.
At least 2. I mean, I only have 3 on the list, but we talked about the one that I kind of felt like we could drop.
Yeah. No. Let's do shooter next.
Okay. All right. This is a staple, I would say, of the Japanese shooter scene. Much like the PC Engine, the Saturn is a treasure trove for shooter fans if you play Japanese games. And when I said
100%, yeah.
And when I said staple, somebody might have been thinking Radiant Silvergun, but no, we're going to play Dodonpachi.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm good at this game, because I'm not, but I'm not too horrible at it. Although there is the streamer's tax to contend with, but it's an awesome game. But so this game falls into the category what I talked about. This is a vertical game in the arcade, so it's going to be squashed. But for whatever reason, it seems like most of these Japanese games, and it was the same thing with the PlayStation. I talked about it on the PlayStation launch episode. Generally, the Japanese versions would give you the option of playing in Tate mode, including rotating the controls.
Right.
So usually with these games, you'll have 3 options. Like you can play it just straight, and then it's going to be squashed a little bit. You could play it where it would go ahead and rotate the screen, but kind of not rotate the controls, so you're playing it like a horizontal shooter, which I think is stupid. Or it would give you the option. Here, we can even look in the options menu real fast. It would give you the option of like, hey, you rotate your TV, we'll rotate the controls, and you can play it. So it'll be sort of pixel perfect. I don't want to say arcade perfect because I don't know. But so down here we have,
So the domestic version of Galactic Attack actually has those options still in it, which is great. So Yeah, that in Japan that was released as a layer section, but that's one that domestically even lets you do it, which is pretty surprising. But Dodonpachi is great. This is a game I've had it for a few years, but I've really gotten into it probably in the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 months. And this game kind of fed into a minor obsession I'm currently having with Dodonpachi Resurrection.
Oh, wow.
This is another one I played at MagFest all the way through, and this was a lot of fun because I'm sitting there playing it, and this guy comes up. He's like, "Hey, mind if I play with you?" And so we finished the game, and then we went through and played the entirety of this game. And then the next night, I go back to the same cabinet, and there was another cave shooter in that same cabinet, and the same dude is sitting there. So I'm like, "Hey, man!" He's like, "Hey, dude, pull up a chair. Let's go."
Yeah.
So we played two cave shooters in 2 nights, which is very cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So this is another one where I actually did pick this up.
Wow, look at
Um,
you.
Pretty cool stuff. I mean, I really like the music in this game. The boss music is just superb. It's awesome. It's really good stuff. But it took me a while to just kind of sort of get why everybody rant and raves about cave shooters. And I'm not a shoot 'em up expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand now sort of the design choices that were made and what makes this game so good, at least in a lot of people's eyes. It really is a superb vertical shoot 'em up.
This is definitely what I would consider to be a bullet hell.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, which is really
You know-
almost its own like subgenre uh, uh, of shooters, I would say. So
Right.
like more so, more so I would say than with normal shooters. You spend a lot more time staring at your own ship.
Yep.
Just because you have to sort of like thread the needle as far as not getting hit.
Right.
But that being said, generally your hitbox in a game like this is probably only going to be like probably only going to be like 1 pixel maybe or a little bit more. So, and that's something you have to get used to as you play the game.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna, if you've grown up playing shooters, you've played other shooters, you're gonna think like, oh, I can't let anything touch me, when really that's not true. It's more like maybe you could think of like just the cockpit or something as being like your hitbox.
Right.
So you have more margin for error than you think. Did you ever used to listen to Car Talk on NPR?
Not often. No, just once in a while. My wife used to like to listen to it, so just only when she was listening to it.
I used to listen to that. I know this seems like a complete non sequitur, but it just I used to listen to that every weekend. I really miss it. But whenever I say the phrase margin of error, it just always makes me think of that show, because like they would always read like the credits at the end of the show, but it was all like made up names, like joke names. And the staff statistician, her name was Marge Inavera.
That's funny.
So you can see that like I'm shooting this gigantic fire hose, and this is like the way both of the Dodonpachi games work, is that you can tap the fire button, and then you're just kind of shooting like this, but then your ship can move a little bit faster if you hold down the fire button. Now I've got this fire hose situation going on, which is more powerful, but then you can't move as fast. So go ahead and continue.
But a lot of times I like to use the laser specifically well, you kind of have to switch back and forth. You have to know when to use which one. And
sure.
the fact that you're moving slower isn't necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes it's easier to navigate between the bullets when you're using that laser and going slower.
I feel like I like the narrator from the first game better.
You know, I
They're making a
haven't
girl
really
in this
played much
game.
of the first game at all.
Oh, we should play it a little bit. I'll play the rest of this credit, and then when I get game over again, we'll switch. Wow, so you've gained 2 new subscribers at least tonight. 2 people at least have posted in the thing.
Yeah, see that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for checking us out. And we've actually had Chris on the show, what, like 3 times? You've been on...
yeah, I was on 1 regular episode and 2 of the radio episodes,
yeah.
Which, those are a lot of fun. I mean, they're all fun, but I'm saying, like, having a podcast specifically talking about video game music is pretty cool.
Yeah, that territory is getting weird because they're starting to do like copyright takedowns on podcasts now.
Oh, I was wondering about that.
And so I don't know, like it's a little scary as a podcaster.
Yeah.
But I think they're mostly focusing right now. They're taking down, like if you have a podcast about like Bon Jovi, for example, they can do basically very similar to I think what YouTube does. They basically strike it down. They'll tell your podcast host to take the episode down.
Yeah.
So it's a little scary.
That's kind of too bad because it's I guess maybe people who are frequent viewers of the show might know that one of the reasons I've toyed with the idea of doing a podcast is really meant to just be a companion for the flashback episodes. Damn it.
Sure.
Because it would give me the freedom to talk about things like music or movies or TV shows and not have to worry about getting copyright strikes. But I was wondering how long that was going to last.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep my thumb on the pulse of what's going on in podcasting, but it's a thing that's happening now. And so we'll see where it goes with that. So... because a lot of retro gaming podcasts, not just ours, but like a whole bunch of them use video game music for their intermission and stuff, and crap, even Retronauts does it. I mean, like everybody does it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that shakes down as it pertains to video gaming related podcasts. So it's a thing to sort of be mindful of at this point as a podcaster.
For sure. I don't know why
I don't.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I was going to change the subject a little bit. So if you have something further to say, you should say it.
No, go for it.
All right. This was just sort of almost like a housekeeping thing, but I mean, I have no idea how many people are here, but I figured I'd wait until there were people here. Speaking of streaming, one of the things I'm probably going to start doing regularly is actually streaming and get ready to throw your tomatoes or whatever, but streaming more on Twitch, which doesn't mean like streams like this will always be on this channel, but sometimes I just want to like turn on a video game and it's just like an afternoon and I'm like, I'll go stream. I could stream this over on Twitch or something, because the problem is anytime I stream on this channel, it lights up people's subscription feeds and their notifications, and a lot of people aren't really here for that. And so what I was thinking that I would start doing is, because I'd like to stream more often, is doing some of those streams over on Twitch, and then I'll just go ahead and download the video from Twitch, and I can upload it to the live stream playlist on this channel. But if I make the video unlisted, it won't go to people's notifications, or it won't even show up on your subscription feed. But if you go to the playlist, it'll be there and you can see it. So like I streamed yesterday actually on Twitch. I streamed a Saturn game that I knew I wasn't going to be playing tonight. My Switch handle or whatever is the same as here. It's just CG Quarterly. So yeah. And the other thing I was just thinking, is people have often asked me like, hey, you should do another like multi-stream, where you beat a game over the course of a few streams. And so that's the kind of thing where you could imagine, because I did Zelda 2. Like I think it took me 4 streams to beat Zelda 2. And, if I did that over on Twitch, I could just download all 4 of those streams and I could edit them together into one stream and then stick it up on this channel. So yeah. So again, that's not meant to say that. What are we doing here? Let's go.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah. That's not to say I'm going to stop streaming here, because I'm not. But although you've seen it, it's part of the reason I think I've been streaming less here is I'm always trying to maintain this balance. Like, well, I don't want to keep streaming so much if I'm not uploading like flashback episodes. I mean, we talked about it a little bit when I did that State of the Channel video back in like January. Oh, that was not the right button. You know, but at the same time, I don't want to feel like, oh, I can't stream because like I haven't made a new real episode in a while. So yeah, I think I would just rather save the more formal streams for this channel, stuff like this, or I am going to be doing a stream coming up soon, sort of comparing the Mega SD to the Mega EverDrive Pro. Like that would be here. Anytime I think I had a guest on, we would do that here. But, you know, sometimes I wouldn't mind just, you know, oh, I'm going to play a game this afternoon. I could stream it, but I'm only going to play for like an hour. I don't want to be bothering people in their subscription feeds here if I'm just going to be doing something like that.
So I see Greg Stewart's in the house.
Hey
Greg,
man, I haven't.
I'm a fan of your work. So what's up, man?
Oh yeah. So I haven't watched the video yet because it just premiered today at 4:30. But Greg just uploaded a video about the Laser Active, which should be cool. And
nice! Yeah,
I was very honored that he asked me to provide some voiceover for it. So I forgot if I said on Twitter who I got to play, but I got to be Ralph Baer, which I thought like that's pretty awesome. So so now I think that's the third time that that I've provided voiceover for somebody else's show. And the first time I think was for the Gaming Historian, and I don't even remember whose voice it was that I was providing because it was just some video game journalist. But then I got to be on on the same name different game channel, and I got to be Bernie Stoller, and then now I got to be Ralph Baer. So you know, you can say what you want about Bernie Stoller, but I mean, he's certainly a noteworthy guy.
Sure. But in fairness, I mean, you do have a good voice for radio. So
that's what people tell me.
Yeah, you really do.
I actually, for the first time, somebody told me that, like in person, like someone that does not know I have a YouTube channel.
Oh wow.
It was just I was at the record store, and I was just buying records, and the guy that works there was like, you know, you probably get told this a lot, but you know, you should really start like a podcast or something. Because you have the voice for it. And so I used the opportunity to you know, peep out my show. I was like, well, you know, I do have a YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would love to do a podcast, but I don't have time to do like all the things I want to do. Like, and I don't just mean because like I have a job or because I'm married, or it's just because there's only so many hours in the day, you know. And even the fact that I have these 2 channels, honestly, it kind of takes away from both of them, because like I can't be doing like launch episodes and magazine read-throughs and then also doing flashbacks and preparing for like a live stream. Like, there's just not enough hours in the day, sadly, you know. Like, you ask someone what they wish, and I've probably said this before, but you know, it's like a fun conversation topic, like, hey Alex, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And people always say like, oh, I wish I could fly, or I wish I had X-ray vision, or I wish I could time travel. I wish I could not sleep.
Or I wish I had the power to produce or slow down time. Because time is the one thing, I mean, none of us can get more of. And I always would love to have more time to do, you know, all sorts of stuff. You know, it's one of the reasons we had to go from, you know, a monthly format to a more seasonal format.
Right.
Although during this COVID thing, we've actually producing more content. It's just not our usual content, but, you know, such is life. But, you know, it's given us a chance to kind of try some other stuff. But, yeah, I'm totally with you. I wish I had more time. I'd love to get back to a monthly format. It's just, burnout's it's a real thing. I can't imagine how, a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer can do it long term. I mean, that's got to be grueling after a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, I take my hats off to people who do YouTube as a full-time job.
Absolutely.
I used to think I wanted to do that, and I think I've really learned that I don't. I don't ever want to have to depend on my show for money, because at least especially because I'm way too much of a perfectionist, and at least this way, like, I have the luxury of saying, well, I'm not happy with this video yet, so it's just not coming out yet. But if that's what was putting food on my table, I'd have to just say, well, I don't really like this episode the way it is now, but it's just got to get put up.
Oh, Tahid's saying he noticed the Ryu statue behind me, and I'm something of a Ninja Gaiden fan, so that one I want to say I got that at Otakon, somewhere in the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, my a friend of the show, Subtle Wookie, who I don't see here, he's currently...
I know, he's trying to do speed runs. Good for him.
Right, yeah, that's right. He hangs out in your Discord, too. So he's trying to do this Big 20 thing that's coming up, where you have to beat 20 NES games in sequence, and, like, your combined time is, like, your score. And so I watch him stream a lot on Twitch, and I'll continue once. And the game he's been practicing lately is the first Ninja Gaiden. Like, he just keeps beating it over and over and over again, but he's trying to get better and better times. And it's funny when I watch him play it, it just makes me think of you, because, as you just said, you're somewhat of a Ninja Gaiden aficionado. And I forgot which episode of yours it was on, but I just listened to it, where you talked about beating Ninja Gaiden 3.
Scepter Sever says he just beat it too, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I'm just talking about you anyway, so you go ahead. But you were playing it for the show. I think it was like, I think the episode was like threequels exactly. And you kind of told the story about how you sat down just to play the game, and then had this sort of magical run where you ended up beating it.
By magical, if you mean hair pulling, yes. So the domestic version of Ninja Gaiden 3 is nothing short of absolutely brutal. When I beat it, it was 3 a.m. I was out of continues, and I kid you not, I was down to my last hit point. And when I beat the last boss, I was jumping up and down. I tweeted it at 3 a.m. So, Scepter Sever, if you beat the domestic version of Ninja Gaiden 3, my hat's off to you, sir. Because that is... I remember beating it once back in the... I don't know, probably like the early 90s, probably like 92, early 92. And I recorded it on VHS, and I have that VHS tape somewhere.
Dude, you should upload it.
I gotta find it, and then I gotta find a way to convert that to digital. But I remember beating it and going, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
And then I did it a few months back. So that was
Didn't you say you finished the game and you were on your last life and you had like 1 life bar left?
Yeah, it was tense. I was sweating bullets, but we got it done. So that was it's a lot of fun. Those NES Ninja Gaiden games are tough. But the first one is my favorite NES game of all time, probably. I spent so many summers in like 1989, 1990, just playing that game over and over. I'd be bored, I'm out of school. I'd be like, I guess I'll sit down and beat Ninja Gaiden. And it was MagFest, not this past MagFest, but the one before that. I went down to the console room at about like 7 a.m, so I just couldn't sleep. Nobody was there, so I just sat down and beat Ninja Gaiden, and some people walked by and were like, dude, did you just beat that? I'm like, yeah, I did. So, one of the few gaming accomplishments I can kind of hang my hat on is being able to beat Ninja Gaiden.
So I don't know if you were really watching the stream or not, but...
yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, so, that wasn't bad. I feel like, I did kind of decent. I only continued once. I'm not trying to say, like, hey, look at me. I'm just saying, like, I think that game is maybe a little bit easier than Dodonpachi. It's less bullet helly. Like, it's still, it's just less. Like I think there were less
Sure.
bullet generally on the screen. I think people say that Dodonpachi is the better game. I don't think I have. I don't think I'm in a position to really make a determination one way or the other. But I like them both. But I think that Donpachi is maybe a little bit more approachable. Like maybe get good at Donpachi and then tackle Dodonpachi.
Dodon. Yeah.
Okay, so this seems like a good time. How long? Oh, this stream's getting pretty long. Wow. All right. Well, let me just say that then, since the stream is getting long. For anybody that doesn't know, Alex, you're on the East Coast.
Right.
If at any point you're getting tired and you want to tap out, please don't feel like you can't. Like just
Okay.
like you don't have to wait for me to end the stream. If you're like falling asleep and you're like you want to leave, like please don't feel like I'm keeping you. I know
I'm
not
good
that late
for another
yet,
half hour, 45 minutes. I'm good.
All right, cool.
I'm going to stick around for a while. Yeah.
So I was thinking next. So I need to shut it off then. So I was thinking next we could go ahead and do the two 4 meg RAM cart games.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll just explain that real quick then. Or I could let you do it too, I guess. But I'll just point out real quick. I'm using an Action Replay 4M Plus cartridge. So this cartridge performs the 3 tasks that I care about that it performs. It acts as like a memory manager because the internal save memory of the Saturn is fairly limited. So you can copy save files off of the internal RAM and onto this RAM cart to make room without just deleting it. And then it will also act as a 1 meg and a 4 meg cart. And it's supposed to be like auto sensing so that it knows if a game wants a 1 meg or a 4 meg. I haven't used it enough where I've run into any problems. The only problems I've run into with it is I was trying to play In the Hunt and it wouldn't load with that cart in the slot. I had to pull the cart out and then In the Hunt loaded. I don't know why that would be, but I was going to let you maybe go ahead and talk more about about the RAM. The only thing I'll say real quick, and we talked about this off stream, but I'll just point out for people, just because of the way the Action Replay cartridge works. So when you turn on the Saturn, it's going to first go to this Action Replay menu. I'm going to hit Start Game, and then it's going to, well, do you want cheats? No, I don't want cheats. Then it's going to load the mode menu. Then I'm going to pick a game. Then it's going to load the Action Replay again, at which point if I wanted to load some cheats, I guess I could, and then it'll boot the game. And that's just because that's the way this thing works. And that's why I don't leave the cartridge in the slot, is because that just gets a little bit annoying, and most of the time I'm not using it anyway. Well, I don't want you to take too much time talking about that stuff because these games are both kind of your jam, so I want you to be free to talk about those. I mean, do you have anything else you wanted to say about? I was just going to say you could buy first party 1 meg or 4 meg RAM carts. Those were only in Japan though, right? Because there was no need for them here.
Right. So the Pro Action Replay, as far as games that need the 4 1 meg RAM carts, it'll work with all the games that need a 4 meg RAM cart just fine. There's a few games that require a 1 meg RAM cart that don't play nice with a Pro Action Replay or even the official 4 meg RAM cart. And one of them is Metal Slug.
Hold on. I just want to interrupt you for a second. I need to go take what we refer to in cycling as a nature break. So I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to go do that. And then that way you have the time to talk about the stuff that you're talking about. So I'm just letting you know that I'm leaving so that it's not awkward. So I'll be back in just a second.
Right on. So yeah, the Metal Slug just does not like 4 meg RAM carts. Doesn't matter what flavor 4 meg RAM cart you use. It'll get graphical glitches and stuff of that nature. Marvel Superheroes, I was just reading something recently so that game has an optional support for the 1 meg RAM cart. Evidently, if you use a 4 meg RAM cart or a Pro Action Replay, the game slows down or something weird like that. But the Pro Action Replay is a safe bet if you don't want to do any sort of internal changes to your Saturn. Just go ahead and get a Pro Action Replay. You can flash it with Pseudo Saturn or Pseudo Saturn Kai to give you some more functionality, although you would lose that backup save feature. Um, just kind of looking through comments here, but yeah, it's the 4 meg RAM card is just awesome. I mean, it makes games like X-Men versus Street Fighter and Street Fighter Zero 3 and Dungeons and Dragons collection. I mean, it makes those games possible, and I can't imagine those games without that extra RAM. I'm sure a lot of them wouldn't work, but oh well, yeah, I just yeah, I'm really digging the Saturn, and yeah, more animation is always better. And I see John is pimping us out as usual. Right on. Yeah, Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold is part of the Street Fighter collection. And the domestic version of that's stupid expensive. So I was impatient at the time and imported that one. So most of the Capcom fighting games I got, they're the import copies. But yeah, anybody have any questions about any Saturn stuff I can answer while Chris is taking his nature break? I don't know if Jeff is here. Oh, there he is. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Yes, Street Fighter the movie, the game. The first game to have this distinction of being a game based on a movie based on a game. And no, it's cool. You can rep that game all you want, man. I like the music in that game. People like to crap on that game a lot, but it's actually basically Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo with EX moves. My favorite Sega Saturn game would be that one. Let me show you the front cover. That one right there. So Street Fighter Zero 3, that's without a doubt my favorite Sega Saturn game. And I have poured hundreds of hours into that specific version of the game. And there's some unique properties to the Saturn version over, say, the Dreamcast or the PS2 version. Do I have a Titan STV? I wish. I think Smoke Monster was saying he's got Virtua Fighter Kids for the Titan. Thoughts on going ODE from stock discs? I mean, it comes down to, listen, it's about playing games and having fun. If you're having fun playing video games with stock discs, great. If you're having fun playing games with the no ODE and images, great. Whatever it takes to have fun. And I kind of feel like sometimes in sort of the retro community, and I'm guilty of this myself, sometimes we kind of lose sight of that. It's the whole point of video games is to enjoy yourself, to have fun. And it's about the games. It doesn't matter how you choose to play them. As long as you're playing them and having fun, you're not doing it the wrong way. As long as you're having fun, you're doing it the right way. So, yeah, I know that was a little soapboxy, but
well said.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So our Saturn starting to suffer disc rot at this point. So I used to think disc rot was sort of a myth. And when I started ripping my Saturn collection, I did start noticing. Chris, did you wash your hands, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Two things.
Okay.
Forearm Tattoo Dude says, can you shout out my wife, Taylor? I'm assuming you're talking to me. Did you shout out? Hey, Taylor. I don't know. Maybe he wanted you to shout out Taylor. So hello. And yes.
Hey, Taylor.
Yes, I did wash my hands, and I used the upstairs bathroom. So hopefully you didn't hear the flush.
Well, I didn't hear it on my end. But the disc rot thing. So I noticed something. I did find some discs with some pinholes in them. But for whatever reason, knock on wood, the games that I'm the original owner, I didn't have an issue. The games that I'm not the original owner, there was a few of them, not very many, but there was a few that had disc rot. So I don't know what will cause disc rot. I don't know what will accelerate disc rot.
Yeah.
My personal theory is sunlight might have something to do with it. My Saturn games have never really seen daylight after I get them home. No matter where I live, they're either in a closet or in a basement. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, it could definitely be something.
It actually
to do
is
with,
a thing.
just the way
So
they're stored,
that's a legit concern at this point.
yeah.
And you know, I heard something that the domestic version of Street Fighter Alpha, it's for whatever reason that game's susceptible to rot a little bit more than others.
Sorry, I was just thinking while you're talking, I can be loading up the next game.
Right. So much like you, Chris, I have to answer nature's call.
Oh, great! All right.
So I'm just going to mute my mic and step away.
Maybe I should wait till you get back to start the game then.
You can if you want. Not,
I can
not
talk
necessary.
I can talk to the people.
Okay. All right. I'll be back in just a sec.
Okay. I'm gonna. There you go. Turn off this thing there. Yeah, this will be good because I haven't really been checking up with the chat too much. So we'll see what's going on. So Aaron says, do you think ODEs will kill off local game shops? I don't, for a number of reasons, I don't think so. I kind of doubt that ODEs will really ever become super mainstream devices. And I kind of feel like it's collectors more that keep game shops open because they're the ones buying like the high dollar games. You know, like the kind of person that wants to own a copy of Radiant Silvergun wants to own a copy of Radiant Silvergun. And, you know, a casual gamer is not going to go pay for a game like that. I mean, I'm not saying that it might not affect their bottom line a little bit, but I mean, I don't personally think it's going to be that big of a deal. And then John says, as a Laserdisc collector, disc rot is a serious issue. I haven't seen any disc rot in any of my Laserdiscs yet. I haven't sat there and like stared at them trying to find some, but I haven't had any problems playing back a disc. But I mean, I don't know if that would just, you know, look like skipping or how that would manifest itself. So, and I wouldn't really call myself, I guess, a Laserdisc collector. I have a Laserdisc player, and, you know, sometimes it's fun to watch movies that way, especially because you can use like a RetroTink to display your Laserdiscs or VHS on a flat screen TV and have it look pretty good. So, and then Apin Bard says, how do you recognize disc rot? I think it's a matter of really just looking at the disc and literally seeing pinholes here. Alex is back, so I'm going to go ahead and turn his camera back on. Sorry, I turned off your video feed just so people, you know, didn't have to see you get up and leave. Maybe you don't
right.
care. I always turn it off because someone doesn't need to see me dragging my big butt out of my chair.
Yeah, well, I've got the ample posterior.
Yeah, same
for
here.
sure. So,
real quick, the Reasoner, Hi Reasoner, says, what do you think is the best golf game on the Genesis? First of all, you cannot go wrong with any of the PGA Tour golf game. Well, with one exception. So you have PGA Tour 1, PGA Tour 2, PGA European Tour, which is just PGA Tour 2 with like different courses and different golfers, and you have PGA Tour 3. That's the best one. There was also PGA Tour 96, which like as people don't think that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like part of the Indiana Jones series, which I agree. Like I don't even consider PGA Tour 96 on the Genesis to be part of the series, because what they did is they made PGA Tour 96 for like the PlayStation and I think the Saturn and I think the 3DO. And then they basically like backported that game to the Genesis, and it really sucks. But PGA Tour 3 is the best one, but it was like incremental improvements, like, oh, I'll make the graphics a little bit better or whatever. But all of them are good. So that's my answer there. So, oh yeah, Fred Couples presents 32 holes of something golf for the. Didn't you guys talk about that on your show at one point? The 32X.
We did. and this is one of Jeff's favorites. So
Yeah.
this is Golf Magazine's 36 Greatest Holes, starring Fred Couples.
Sorry, Golf Magazine.
Fred Couples' nickname back in the day was Boom Boom. He was known as Fred Boom Boom Couples. So shout out to Jeff, because that's one he and I had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
G Status is asking, what's my channel? I'm not really on YouTube, but Jeff, John, and I do a podcast. As we'd mentioned earlier, maybe you joined us a little later. John is asking, yes, to educate you on Fred Boom Boom Couples. But yes, 36 Great Holes is the best adult video title ever.
Oh,
I
God.
concur, good sir. I concur.
Wow. I think usually that works the other way, and usually it's 36 great polls and one and one
Well-
hole. But that is not the kind of stuff we talk about on my live streams.
No.
You know, I will say though, real quick, not about that. You know, you and Jeff really should stream on Twitch. I mean, John, I'm only saying that because I know John doesn't live that close. I mean, all three of you should, but I know that John is a little bit farther away. But like you and Jeff live in like the same neighborhood, right? So
Yes, Jeff and I
Once-
live down the street from each other.
once
Of
this
course,
whole coronavirus-
COVID's a thing right
yeah,
now.
once
but,
that's gone, that would be awesome if you
yeah,
guys.
Jeff has started streaming actually lately.
Oh, really? But
Yeah.
what's his?
Jeff,
is it on
you're
Twitch?
on Twitch, right, Jeff?
Wait, Jeff's in the chat?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. What's his
Oh,
name?
he's using his nickname Garganok.
Oh, crap! I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put Jeff, put your Twitch in there just because I want to make sure I subscribe to your Twitch channel. Oh,
And
yeah,
John,
there he is.
you're streaming as well, so throw yours up there too, man.
Yeah.
Both of you. Yeah, so
right, well,
Jeff and I have
okay.
talked about me going over to his house and doing some streaming together, which would be a lot of fun once once this whole COVID thing is behind us.
Yeah.
Which can't be soon enough,
Yeah,
if you
for
ask
sure.
me.
So we'll get the next game going here.
Yep.
While we're talking, so we have two games that both require the 4 meg RAM cartridge. One of those two games, I don't know if, because I obviously wasn't watching the stream while I was peeing, I did notice that somebody asked you in the chat what your favorite Saturn game is. I don't know if you answered them or not.
Yeah, I'll let the cat out of the bag a little
Okay,
bit
so
early
we'll
on
play that one first.
All right.
Okay, but again, like I said with Virtua Fighter, I will say that this is not. It's not like I'm good at this game or anything, but we're gonna check it out anyway. But I guess the main point of checking this game out is just that you'll see the benefit, which I'm gonna let Alex. I'll play the game, but you should be the one talking about it. I'll just be sitting here
Absolutely.
quietly playing the game.
Sure.
And you can tell people why, first of all, because this game came out on 3 home consoles. It was a PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and the Saturn. And I think there was
Correct.
even a PSP release. But this
Yeah.
is the definitive home version of the game. And I will let you take it from there.
All right. So the Saturn version is a little bit unique. There are some. Well, first of all, this is probably my favorite video game of all time, and it's far from being the most perfect video game out there. But what I love about the game is just the breadth of options. You can, each character has 3 different play styles, and these play styles all have different mechanics and stuff. But the Saturn's version is really near and dear to me because there's some, I guess you can call, overpowered characters. So one of my mains in this game is DJ, and he is just a combo machine. So his projectile has 0 recovery after it. You can literally throw the projectile and walk right behind it. So I'd actually, back in the day, had made a beginner level and intermediate level combo sort of video. I gotta dig it up and see if I can post it somewhere. But the Saturn version looks better than the Dreamcast version, has much more animation than the PlayStation version. The Dreamcast version I never liked, number one, because of the craptacular D-pad on the Dreamcast controller. But the visuals are a little grainy. It almost looks like the sprites are being stretched before they're being displayed on the screen. And there's actually animation in the Saturn version that's not present in any other version of the game for whatever reason. If you were to ask me what the probably quote-unquote definitive version is, I mean, this is my favorite version. But probably the Street Fighter Alpha Anthology on the PS2 would be, number one, the cheaper way to go, and probably the more balanced of all the versions of the game. The PSP version is also excellent. It's actually really dang good. I highly recommend the PSP version because it's got a handful of additional characters as well, and one of them's not in any other version of the game. So the PSP version's really, really awesome. But the Saturn version just looks so incredible if you're playing in S-Video or with an RGB kind of setup. The sprites are bigger than most of the other home console versions, especially the ones at the time. And it's got some slight juggle mechanics in the air. It's nothing crazy like you would find in, say, X-Men vs. Street Fighter or the Versus games, but there are some measured ways that you can do some air juggles. You can only get a couple, juggle them one or two times. But there's a lot going on in this game. There's a lot of depth to all the different play styles. You got the alpha counters and the Z-ism and the A-ism. You've got the X ISM, which is basically Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And yes, the Model 2 the Japanese Sega Saturn pad is just the end-all be-all for these Capcom 2D fighting games.
Just a kind of a quick question I have. I mean,
yeah.
It'd be cool if you could also maybe talk about why the 4 meg RAM cart makes this game, if you haven't already touched on that. But if you play, was this a CPS2 game?
It is, correct, yeah.
So like one of the serious shortcomings of Saturn graphics, as you did talk about on your show, is the lack of transparencies. So
correct.
is that? But I assume that if you play this game in the arcade, you'll like some of the stuff where you see this sort of silly checkerboard
the mesh
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
in
that's
the
transparent
arcade.
in the arcade.
Okay, yeah, good. It's
yeah.
funny because
the Dreamcast and PlayStation versions, that's a transparency.
It's the kind of thing I don't think I ever really consciously realized. Like, I mean, I never read it anywhere, I guess, and so I never really thought about the lack of transparency until you said it on your show. And now I kind of realize, like, that's one of the things that makes these games, like, not this game in particular, but just a lot of Saturn games, I couldn't put my finger on it, but it's like something doesn't look right. And that's what it is. It's all this weird meshy crap instead of having transparencies.
Yes. So Electron Ash was just commenting, and he's right. The Saturn can do transparencies, but he's right, only on certain background layers. So that's why you'll see transparencies on the Saturn on some 2D games. But if both the VDP 1 and 2 are being used, you're going to see it far less. It's really obvious on games like Sega Rally where the glass is a mesh and it looks kind of ugly to be if I'm being honest. But yeah, the Saturn just didn't not have hardware transparency for whatever reason. So whatever games you see that have transparency on them, that's being done on a software level. So Guardian Heroes is one example. So there's a character, she's got a transparent cape. And as you're going through the backgrounds, you can see through the cape. But if you collide with another enemy that's in the background or standing next to her, that part of the character is missing. It's literally not there. So it's just a weird quirk about the Saturn's architecture.
And then going back to the 4 meg RAM cart, did you talk about that already or no?
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit, and
okay. So just because maybe I didn't hear it, so that one of the things that does is add extra frames of animation, right? Like is that like providing the RAM space to store, like because it's basically like extra sprites, right? To have extra.
Right. Otherwise, it would look something more akin to the PlayStation version with a lot of animation missing. So the vast majority of games that support extended RAM use that space for sprites and sprite animation or background animation. There's one game, though, Cotton 2, that supports extra RAM, but rather than using it for visuals, it uses it for extra voice samples, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That is.
Scepter Sever's asking, what do you guys think about the Retrobit 2.4 gigahertz Saturn controllers? So John and I, actually all three of us on the podcast have them. And and they're great, man. I'm a big believer in the 2.4 gigahertz controllers, whether it's 8-bit DO or the Retrobit ones. I like it a lot. It's pretty dang close to a stock Model 2 controller. It's really good. So if you're on the fence and you're worried about latency, I mean, I've played this game so much, I can do Guile Super with my eyes closed, upside down, whatever. And I was able to respond to jump-ins with that Super, no problem with that controller. So if that answers your question, I mean, yes, I would give it a thumbs up. And I think John and Jeff would be in agreement with me as well, because they've got one as well.
And I think the 2.4 gigahertz controllers have less input lag, right, than Bluetooth.
Correct. Yeah, that's or at least that's a prevailing theory. And John is bringing up one point. He says the only thing they're missing is some the click in the shoulder button. So these shoulder buttons here. So when you hear that click, it's not as pronounced in the Retrobit. It still clicks, but I agree with John. They're slightly less clicky. But otherwise, it feels very, very, very close to the standard Saturn controller.
I think I have. We're talking about Retrobit, right? I always get Retrobit and 8-bit like mixed up in my head, but yeah, I have the USB version of their Saturn controller, and it's really nice. So obviously, I can't use it with a Saturn, but that's not why I bought it. But I've been thinking about actually buying that 2.4 gigahertz controller, but just because it's funny, I used to not care about using wireless controllers, but especially because like I'm sitting at my desk, and the console's like a foot away from me. Having this controller cable like going down my lap is kind of irritating.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's not necessary for me in my household, and I always sit pretty close to my TVs. But
well, you've already had kids, right? So you can sit as close as you want.
Right.
That's what I was always told growing up. Like my stepdad would always tell me, like, that's bad for your gonads.
Oh no, with me it was always it's bad for your eyes, and I tell my son the same thing just out of reflex. But I sit a good probably 4 or 5 feet away from that TV because my Trinitron's not like huge. I mean it's like a good 27 or 28-inch Trinitron. But we'll be watching TV on the 42-inch plasma, and my son's like 2 feet away from it. And I'm like, dude, back up, please.
Yeah.
So but I've been using the M30 for the Genesis. That's the Retrobit 2.4. I'm sorry, the 8-bit DO one.
Yeah. And
man, that thing is great. It's
it's nice.
An awesome controller.
The only thing I'll say about it is like Modern Vintage Gamer like posted a video just on Twitter, kind of a while back, highlighting. I guess they have a problem with their D-pad, where it'll start making these crazy like creaking noises. And
one of mine does that. I have two of them, and one of them does.
So I've had one that started doing that, and I guess
I
think you can just take it apart and add some like plastic appropriate grease. I forgot what the grease is called. I don't know if Smoke Monster's still here. He knows about the grease. And I guess you can add some of that, but I guess it's a shame that you have to do that. But outside of that, those are great controllers. I have I have two of them. And those are nice because you can get USB receivers and 9-pin receivers. So, you can use that if you have like a Mystara or a RetroPie, or you're using like RetroArch or something on your computer. You can use it for that, and then you can also use it with your original hardware. Oh, yeah, there's smoke. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Shinetsu grease, which is plastic friendly, right?
Yeah. All right. So should we play? Let's play the other game.
Sure.
Just because nobody needs to sit here and watch me suck. But it is fun. Oh, Carlos is asking about podcast. Do y'all have a podcast? I don't, but I know a guy who does.
Yeah, I know a couple guys that do. Yeah, so Jeff, who's Garganok here in the chat, and then John and myself, we do a podcast called Retro Game Squad. Been doing it since 2012. So the shtick is every episode we pick a different theme, and we pick a bunch of games that fit in that theme. We all play all the games on every episode, and then we talk about them, and then we'll do some general topics, some informative stuff, and we'll play trivia games, and it's been it's been a lot of fun. Jeff says it's time for some NHL 98. Oh, Jeff, who won the Habs game? Please tell me. Please tell me the Habs won.
Well, while you're waiting for that information, I'll just real quick. Sega Dreams is asking, will the mode play the MPEG games? And yes, as long as you have an MPEG
You have the
card.
MPEG card. Yep.
So that's like the one, well, I guess you can come up with other ones, but one of the shortcomings of the Satiator is that it plugs in to the MPEG card slot, so you cannot play MPEG games with it. Which one did you say you wanted me to play here? Shadow over Mystara, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just full disclosure, I've never ever played this game. That I know.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
That I know.
You're in for a treat.
Yeah. Oh, Greg Stewart noticed that I have the Ayrton Senna personal talk. Yeah, and I actually own a physical copy of that just because it's Senna, and yeah.
Yes, go Habs. So the Habs are still in it. Yes, good stuff, man. Sorry, I'm a hockey fan on the side, so
No need to apologize.
Oh, Gally got messed up, huh?
But it's just his mouth, so I mean.
Well, he needs that. How's he going to pester the opposition? That's like half his game.
Yeah, but I mean, they play with like missing teeth and whatnot all the time. But
oh, absolutely, hockey
we'll
players
see what,
are a tough bunch. That's for sure. Derek says he lives for hockey. Right on, man. Crosby did play with his jaw shut. I've heard of other players doing that. I didn't realize Crosby did that too.
That's weird that someone who is such a horrible crybaby would play with his jaw wired shut.
I was gonna say something to that effect, but I don't know if Greg's.
No, I just as a Red Wings fan, I kind of hate the Penguins a little bit. I mean, those were both really, really awesome series. The two back-to-back Stanley Cup finals where the Red Wings played the Penguins.
Yeah.
But it made me hate that, and that gold medal game in the Olympics. I have to hate Crosby a little bit, even though I only hate him because he's awesome.
That was a hell of a play, though. That was a hell of a play.
Yeah. But what was funny about that
pass to McGinley was just perfect. I mean,
probably,
on the money.
Probably everybody felt this way, but I just knew it was going to happen. Like, I'm watching the game, and I'm like, at some point, Crosby is going to score a goal, and Canada's going to win. Like, I just knew.
Yeah.
And then it happened, and I wasn't even mad because I was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
I can't see John right now, but I'm sure he's eye rolling very hard right now. It's a running gag on the podcast. Jeff and I start talking about hockey, and John just all of a sudden gets quiet.
Just real quick, do you have a character I should choose? I only have 3 seconds.
I can't see what's going on. Just pick and go, man.
All right.
You'll have a good. Don't pick the Dark Wizard guy.
I didn't, so I picked the fighter.
Okay, good. You're fine.
Yeah, you can talk because you covered this game on your show. I've never played it before.
We did.
Once again, I think I'm going to let you talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
and one thing I'll say is that, as you said on your show, it's really much better as a 2-player game.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this is a conversion of Capcom's arcade game. I want to say the arcade game's either 3 or 4 player simultaneous.
CPS2
the Saturn,
again.
Yeah, it's a CPS2 game. The Saturn version brings it down to 2 player simultaneous. Requires a 4 meg RAM card. So here's what the case looks like. So this is like a double case. So it's got Tower of Doom and Shadow over Mystara in there. And Man, where to even begin with this game? So on the surface, it looks like just a simple beat 'em up. But as its name implies, there's a lot more going on with this game than you really would give it credit for. It really plays. I'm not a D&D guy. I don't really play D&D for real. But in doing research for this game for the podcast, we discovered that. So when you pick up an item in this game, and it's an item that actually exists in the D&D game, and the properties that exist in the actual role-playing game are translated into the video game. So meaning the items you pick up are sort of relevant to how the actual tabletop game plays. So there's an actual role-playing game element in this game, and it's related to like your different stats and the items you pick up and the spells that you can cast and the effects that the spells have. So if you have a fire spell, it won't work all that great against a fire enemy, but if it's a combustible enemy, it'll work really, really well. There's an excellent port of this game on the Xbox 360 that's also backwards compatible with or I should say on the Xbox One that's also backwards compatible with the 360.
That's a downloadable game, right?
It's a downloadable title. Awesome game. Again, it's way better as a multiplayer game, but the way it respects the source material is really something to kind of compliment and take note of. You don't need to go into that sort of kind of the roots of the game as far as the RPG elements that are sprinkled in there. You could just play as a straight up arcade platformer. But man, it's a much better experience if you play it. That Dark Wizard I told you not to use. If you're starting out, he's a cream puff and he just dies really, really easily. But once you level him up, his spells are just ridiculous. And the spell effects in Shadow of Mystara, they're screen-filling spells, like the kind of stuff you'd see in an old-school Final Fantasy game. Really awesome stuff. I'm a big fan of this game, and this is one I didn't pick up right when it came out. I actually picked this up off somebody off a forum, and I paid a little bit more than I kind of wanted to at the time, but I don't regret it. It's such a good game. And, I know that Jeff came over at one point. We were playing this together, and this is a lot of fun. This is a really, really good game.
I just noticed that I fought these enemies called owl bears, which, well, I mean, based on what you just said, I guess those are from the D&D universe. But weren't there owl bears in the first Phantasy Star? But they were like little flying eyeballs.
You got me.
Because I think it was a thing where it's like, why is that an owl bear?
Well, Greg says yes.
Yeah. Well,
so he knows what he's talking about. So we'll defer to him.
I'm getting the impression that this is a boss battle.
Yeah, it's like a flaming chariot. Pretty cool.
How am I supposed to? All right.
So Carlos is asking, was this only on the Saturn? At the time, yes. This was the only home conversion. But like I said, it's on the Xbox One and 360 now, and I believe it's on Steam as well. Somebody had mentioned.
Do you think did this get released in this country in the arcade?
I'm pretty sure it did.
I would think so.
Good night, Greg. Thanks for joining us.
I'll see you, Greg. Man, I'll watch that. I'll watch that video. I'm looking forward to it. It's funny because actually, I mean, he was very patient. Like I didn't get that voiceover to him in what
later, Electron. Thanks for joining us.
A timely manner. Oh, see you later, Ash. I was actually trying to find samples of Ralph Baer talking because I was like, oh, maybe I'll try to try to make my voice sound like Ralph Baer, and then I quickly decided that was a really stupid idea. Like doing an impression.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm done.
Okay. Sega Dreams is asking, this or Guardian Heroes? I'd probably still go Guardian Heroes. I mean, it's just too awesome. It's really, really good. But this is, in my opinion, like this is like just under it. I mean, it's just under it.
Is there anything else I should know playing this game? I mean, I'm pretty much just playing it like a straight beat 'em up. I mean, are there like some kind of special things?
Yeah,
I should be doing,
there are
or...
spells you can cast. So there's characters that are more geared towards spell casting than others. It's been a while since I played it, so I don't remember the controls right off the top of my head. What if you've been using A, B, and C? Try messing around with. Oh, I do remember. You press L and R to rotate between your spells. It pulls up like a wheel that you can select your spells from. I want to say, and then you can press.
But I'm
X, Y,
playing
or
as
Z
a
or
fighter,
something.
so is that? Do I still have spells?
You should
Okay.
at least a basic spell. You may need to level up or something.
Because yeah, I'm pressing L and R and nothing's happening there. So. And I think...
Same game engine as Knights of the Round. I don't know for sure, to be honest with you. No, the mode does not do save states, nor does it do cheat codes. But if you plug in a Pro Action Replay, you could still use cheat codes that way.
Yeah, I don't.
But no save states.
I don't think there are any ODEs where you can. I think just maybe by their nature, like the way CD.
Yeah,
based
not on
systems
real
work.
hardware.
Yeah.
I think it's like an emulator only thing or a software emulator only thing.
Oh, Derek's asking if I play D&D. If you mean like pen and paper D&D, then no, I've never played it.
No, I haven't either.
I don't think it's just, nothing against people that do. I just don't think that's my jam. Hellhounds, wow. Are these all this money I'm picking up? Is that just points, or is there going to be like a shop later?
I want to say there is going to be a shop. Yeah. Retro Gaming Systems Collection here is asking. I guess he's asking if the mode does anything with the video to enhance it. No, it does not. What you get out of your Saturn is from stock is what you get out with mode. Princess Crown, no. I've always wanted to, but there's a little bit of a language barrier. But is it Vanillaware? I think I've got that right. Man, that game is gorgeous. I should download that and play that. How much was the mode, Chris? I'm trying to remember. Is it like 220 after you convert it?
I don't remember. I think it was because it's like 200 euro. Is it 200 euros?
I want to say it's 200 euros. Yeah.
Someone should look it up because I don't want to be giving bad information.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick while you're doing that.
But it's because I remember it being cheaper than the Mega SD. Oh my God! Look at this thing.
I'm just gonna move my mic here so I can look this up.
Not doing a very good job with this guy. Dude, stop.
Oh, so it's 182 euros. Looks like, yeah. So it's about 200 bucks if you're in the U.S.
Yeah. And not that I feel a need to defend the price, but the only thing I'll say is, once again, you can use this in 2 different consoles.
Sure. No, 270. No, that doesn't sound right. I would have hesitated a little bit more if it was 270. Yeah, it's the satiator that's selling for like 260.
Although I heard that guy today came out and sort of revised what he said about giving discounts to
his patrons. He's giving
he
a
kind of
bigger
explained
discount on a case-by-case basis or
and
something.
he kind of
to
explained
that
why he
effect.
did it, because I mean that was kind of a bad look, I thought, but then like I said,
doesn't
he kind
look
of
good.
explained it a little bit more today, and to where it's like, okay, I kind of understand where he was going with that.
Yeah.
All right, John says it was 182 in euros plus 8, so it was 200 euros shipped. So
Right. Yeah, that sounds right. Oh, check it out. Nice.
What?
Oh, I'm watching the delayed feed, but the spell, very nice.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem to want to work, and then all of a sudden it worked. So, do you know what any of this stuff is? I mean, I can see
my
what
feed's
it
a
is,
little
but-
behind, so
Okay. I'm in the shop here.
yeah, I have to take a look at it. Like I said, it's been a little bit.
This
been a
is
little bit
apparently,
since
by
I've
the
played
way,
it.
what YouTube considers ultra low latency. So one of the many
yeah,
reasons
it's-
that I want to go over to Twitch, like over there, it's like maybe a couple seconds of delay.
Yeah, no, I think I had a guide with me when I was playing this. So I
that's
mean,
help.
it's just, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory by the pictures, but
All right, whatever.
sorry, I can't help you with that one.
Yeah, well, someone said in the chat, purple is healing, so I grabbed
Right.
some purple. And yeah, Mothboy. Hey, Mothboy, what's up, man? Twitch is way lower in latency, that's for sure. Like, it's funny because when when you're setting up your stream in YouTube, it gives you the option. You want normal or low latency or ultra low latency. And like, if you do ultra low latency, I think you can't stream like higher than 1080p. Because I mean, apparently, I don't know what kind of fire hose internet connection some people have that they're streaming in like 4K or 1440p. But it specifically describes the ultra low latency as near real time interaction, which I don't think I quite agree with that characterization.
I think they're overselling it a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. This kind of reminds this reminds me of a level in Streets of Rage 2. When you're on that pirate ship. Of course, that's not a real pirate ship. That's like at an amusement park, but. Oh, hey, stop doing that.
Yeah, the lasers on the Saturns, I don't know. Some people have better luck than others. Knock on wood again. I mean, I haven't had an issue really, but I know a lot of people say they do. So, I mean, I think the fail rate's definitely better than the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. I remember having to put my PlayStation upside down, to get some discs to read. So.
Yeah.
I remember we imported Street Fighter 02, and it came in, and my buddy Greg's PlayStation, not Greg Suit, another Greg, we had to put his PlayStation upside down to get that game to boot. And that's after you did the swap trick.
That was a common thing back then, having to turn your PlayStation upside down.
Yeah, don't ask me why it worked,
Mothboy
but
just
it
said
worked.
his PS1 spent half its life upside down.
Sure.
So I went ahead and closed out of Dungeons and Dragons there. I used up two credits, so I figured that was okay. But plus, like, I know it's getting late, and I wanted to play at least one more game with you here.
Right.
Unless you want to skip it, but I don't want to skip it.
No, I'm good for one more, and then I probably got a chat.
All right, that sounds good. All right, so once again, this is a game that's a favorite of yours, so I'm going to play it poorly, and you're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Would that be under Japanese games?
Which one? Last Gladiators?
No, man. Shooter?
Oh. Yeah. Yes, that's an import only game.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So I've now, by the way, removed the Action Replay cartridge because it's no longer needed, and so we don't have to be annoyed by it any longer. So the game, I mean, you saw me pick it, so I mean, whatever. So this is Thunder Force 5.
Hell yes.
I enjoy the Genesis Thunder Forces. I haven't really played Thunder Force 5 just because I didn't have an ODE until now, and it also came out on the PlayStation though, didn't it?
It did, yes. And that was released domestically as well under Working Design Spaz label, but the Saturn version is Japan only release.
Okay.
And in my opinion, so the PlayStation version has like a boss rush mode and some extra CG sequences, but in my opinion, the Saturn version is cleaner visually and sharper, and it kicks ass. I love this game to death. So this would be in like my top 5 Sega Saturn games, with Street Fighter Zero 3 occupying the #1 spot.
So I popped into the options menu just to see what was happening in
Yeah.
there, but
Yep.
I didn't mess with anything. So what's this first attack, second attack, third attack thing? What should I do here?
You're basically picking the order of the first 3 stages. I normally just do in the default order.
Okay, done.
So here's the case to the actual game.
I noticed that says special pack. Was there a not special pack?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, there's a standard pack. There is a greatest hits version that'll have the red spine there. So this special pack came with a second CD, and I'll get it out here. It's basically a music CD with music from previous Thunder Force games. So it's got some tracks from Thunder Force 3, Thunder Force 4, Thunder Force 2. Now, the soundtrack to this game is one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. It's like sex for your eardrums. It's amazing. I love the soundtrack to this game. This is one I imported from NCSX, I believe, back in the day. But I love this game to death. And I have a video somewhere on my hard drive of beating it and getting the good ending. It took me...
That one's not on VHS tape.
No, that one's actually on a capture card. But it took me 7 years to be able to beat this game. Not that I was trying all the time, but once I got to beat it the first time and got the actual good ending, and I finally figured out the hacks in this game to beat it, it's a lot more manageable for me now. I mean, it's pretty... Yes, that would be an eargasm, Derek. Yes, that is absolutely correct. So the laser weapon you were just using a little bit ago, that is the most powerful weapon in the game. So when you fire it up, you'll see 3 different zones on it. The closer you are to the enemy, the more damage that laser does.
Okay.
So you can take out the first boss in probably 30 seconds.
Wow.
A lot. Saturn hidden gems. We'll get to that in a sec. Hidden gems. Yeah, but this is a great game, and it stays very faithful to the Thunder Force franchise.
What is the A? Real quick. What does the A button do? Like B button shoots, C button picture weapon. Oh, that's some kind of weirdo thing.
It depends. I play with a different default configuration, but there's something called an over weapon. So when you pick up the crawl, which is the orbiting orb, you can press a button and you'll shoot an over weapon, but you need to have a crawl to do it. And the crawl will shrink and kind of like run out of juice. So you can pick up a maximum of 3 of those, and so all the weapons have an alternate fire. That's what the over weapon is. So if you press the A button, you see kind of like a different shot come out after you have one of the orbs. Yeah. And I just saw you do one, even though I'm in the delay. That's what that does.
It's practically real time.
Right. You can also change the speed of your ship. You can even do that while you're paused. So I don't remember what the default button is. But one good trick to use if you think you're about to die, because the forward shot and the twin rear shot you always get, but any other weapon you pick up, if you die when you have that weapon, you lose it until you can pick it up again. Yeah. So if I think I'm going to die and I've got that laser, you better believe I'm going to pause the game and switch, or just real quick switch to a different weapon.
Sorry, I'm sucking real bad here, but like I said, I've never played this game, so... This kind of seems like what I was saying about Radiant Silvergun when we weren't streaming, where I think, you got to kind of learn the game a little bit. So
yeah, you really do.
This is not the best game to play blind, but that's okay.
Yeah. that laser's got a risk-reward ratio because you got to get close up to the enemy, but if you do that and use the overweapon, it just fries enemies. It's amazing. Yeah, the backgrounds are really impressive. In fact, there's some effects in the backgrounds in this game that are not present in the PlayStation version, and oddly enough, one of them is transparency. So in the 4th stage, you're descending this sort of like mine shaft, and you'll see smoke, transparent smoke, waving in the background. Not only is it there on the Saturn version, it's actually missing from the PlayStation version. And there's another stage that's missing a background layer entirely from the PlayStation version. Yeah, it's in, Scepter Saber's right. It's all pattern recognition, memorization, reflexes. It's something I preach on our podcast pretty frequently.
Is this still the same boss?
Yeah, I can tell from the music, yes.
Studio disconnected, reconnected. Okay, it says reconnection successful. So hopefully, hopefully that means that we're still streaming. Okay, it says we're back. Okay, cool. Sometimes that seems like it happens when I'm streaming for a long time. Like OBS temporarily like has a little fart and comes back. So I'm glad we're still streaming. So good. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep going here then.
Hidden gems for the Saturn, it's not a term I'm really fond of because in this day and age,
I like to say good games that you don't hear people talk about very often.
Sure.
Which
there
is
one I wanted to bring up.
Than hidden gems,
this bad boy right here.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff and John know all about this game. This is a fantastic pinball game.
We're going to check that game out, but you might not be here anymore when we do.
Yeah, so this is Last Gladiators digital pinball. This is...
I don't know if he's still. Oh yeah, Mike McFly actually sent me a copy of that game.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Thanks,
yeah.
Mike.
Yeah. So this is a simulation style or video pinball game. Although they're all made up tables, but it has an amazing heavy metal soundtrack. Yes, Everlasting Love. Man, what an awesome game. Not only are the physics really impressive for a game of that vintage, it runs in the Sega Saturn's high-res mode. And there's 3 or 4 different tables on here. Let's see what we got here. Yep, there's 4 different tables. And like I said, it runs in the Saturn's high-res mode, and it's really good simulation-style pinball. It's even got bonus or mini-games that you would find on... You know, like pinball games in the 90s had the LED display and you would play mini games on that. It's even got mini games like that for like point bonuses and stuff. Yeah, they're made up tables, but they're themed around like Roman gladiators. There's like a medieval theme one. There's the one where the whole Everlasting Love meme on our podcast comes from.
Which table is that? Because I want to play that. Like, will it be obvious?
It's not the Roman Centurion one. Let's see here.
I would just think it would be called like the Love Doctor or something like that.
Knight of the Roses. That's what you want.
Okay.
Knight of the Roses. Yeah, we've talked about this one on the podcast. Yeah, it's in... it might have been in our second podcast, if I remember right, which is all about pinball games. It might be on that one. So that would be something I would call sort of a hidden gem. Give me a second. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to take a look at something. Oh, you know what? Before I even go any further, there's a sequel to Last Gladiators called Necronomicon Digital Pinball. So this is made by the same team that made Last Gladiators. Runs off the same game engine, so same thing. It's a... running in the high resolution mode, same amazing physics, and this one is a Japan-only release, Necronomicon, and this one has more of an occult slant to it, and as we all know, the occult and pinball go together like chocolate and peanut butter. So that's another one I would highly recommend. Really, really good. what else would I recommend that's sort of less known? There's a decent port of Tempest 2000 on the Sega Saturn. Almost as good as the Jaguar port. Very, very close to it. That's one I really like a lot. 3 Dirty Dwarves. That's another good one. That's sort of like a beat 'em up style game. It's 3 players simultaneous. It's a good fun game, and it's also got amazing music and some really impressive 2D visual effects. Lots of scaling, rotation. I'm like a moth to flame for that stuff. So that's another good one I would check out. Put on my metal wig. I do not have a metal wig. Yeah. I get the reference though.
All right, so
Dead or Alive would be another one, another good fighting game.
I was going to say that game kicked my butt enough. I turned it off. I switched the view back, not because the stream is ending, but because, I'm assuming you kind of wanted to take off soon. So I figured we'll just...
Yeah, I'm probably good for like another 10-15 minutes, and then probably should go. So if you want to take a quick look at Last Gladiators, we can do that.
All right, cool.
And then once you're done playing, I can say my goodbyes there.
Okay. I'm just trying to be considerate of your time, so because I'm guessing...
Oh, the Dendy. Yes, I've heard of the Dendy. That was a pirate Famicom that was prevalent in Russia at the time.
Really?
Yes. The long Canadian goodbye, yeah.
Okay, USA. So this is a game I've played this game once, but I've played
it's so good.
I've played pinball before, so I don't really feel like, it's not like not knowing how to play Thunder Force 5. So you have a skeleton Saturn, right?
I do,
so
yeah. It's in the case behind me.
You get to see that the Japanese Saturn splash screen.
I like it so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do like it a lot better. So yeah, that's the one that Alex Bay City Henry capped for me. That thing runs like a champ. So I rotate. I've got like 4 Saturns, and I rotate them all out every few months to make sure they all get equal wear. So that one's in the case now for a little bit.
Man, listen to that. Hopefully the audio levels are good.
Oh, the audio in this game is just amazing. If you like the music in Lords of Thunder, you should check out the soundtrack to this game. It's in the same vein. So good.
Is the Jaguar Flash cart out yet? Sorry, I just see Scepter Severs saying get the Jag Flash cart.
I thought it was,
want one.
But in small quantities. I'm not positive though. Yeah. I haven't really had my finger on the pulse there of the Jaguar stuff.
All right, that's enough. Yeah, I bought.
Good night, Katrina.
I bought. Someone leaving?
Yeah, Katrina's.
Oh, sorry, I see there.
Heading out.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I forgot. But what's the guy's name? Saint something. The guy that's making the Jaguar flash card. I bought his Atari Lynx flash card.
Oh, you have a Lynx?
Yo, of course.
How do you like it?
Well, I mean, I like it. I told that story. I think I did a flashback episode about the Lynx, but I bought my Lynx back in 95, so I've had it for a while.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I like it quite a bit. I kind of wish I'd had one back in the day, but it's not modded or anything. It sucks because I actually found another Lynx at a garage sale just like here in my neighborhood, and I bought it, but I ended up just selling it. Damn it, on the Atari Age forums. It was the Lynx, and it had NFL football inside the console, which was great because I don't have that game. And okay. But this was before the McWill screen mod came out for it. Otherwise, I would have kept it, and because that way I could keep my original one stock, and I could have had the McWill mod done to the other one. Just because, first of all, it gives you dude. First of all, it gives you that better screen, but then you also actually get VGA out. So I could use that to record. That's one of the few systems that I don't use either real hardware or an FPGA equivalent to record gameplay footage for. I've tried messing around with. I did actually record for one of my magazine read-throughs. I did actually use real hardware, but I literally pointed a camera at the screen, and I don't know how well that really worked out. And then, dude, I feel like this table is really good at sending balls right down the middle, you know, out of play.
Yeah, you can try the other one. The first one's.
I think
I like the first table better.
I'm better.
I mean, this one has everlasting love, but I mean, I like the first table a little bit better.
Well, I'll just play this one until I get game over. But,
right.
See, look, it did it again. Yeah, see, I wanted it to say everlasting love, but I guess the volume's turned down enough that we're not going to really hear it anyway. So. You ever play the Pro Pinball games on the PlayStation? Those are pretty good, too. I think there's like 3 of them.
No, I've played my fair share of Pinball Arcade, though.
Yeah.
That's really good on the Vita.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it on the Vita. Like, I think I bought it from the, PlayStation store. But I was buying those games back on the PS2. I think there was like 2 of them.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. They were just, physical releases. Because one thing that's kind of annoying about the, having it all digital now is, I forgot which pinball manufacturer it was, but like, they changed their license so that it's not with the Pinball Arcade people, it's with like a different one instead.
It's with Pinball FX now.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Bally, Midway, like some of the heavy hitters.
Yeah. And that was annoying for me because there was I forgot. At one point, I think I was going to do a video on like the history of Mortal Kombat, and I ended up not doing it. But I was going to talk about. I don't think it was Ed Boon. I think it was the other guy, who I think he had designed pinball games before doing Mortal Kombat. Was it him or I don't remember. There was some kind of pinball connection. And so I was trying to record gameplay footage of that game, and that game had been in Pinball Arcade, but you could no longer get it. So I actually ended up having to pirate a PC copy of Pinball Arcade that came with all of the table packs, because like that was the only way I was going to be able to play that game. Because isn't Pinball FX only on like Xbox or something?
No, I'm pretty sure it's also on Switch and stuff.
Oh, well, I didn't want to play it on Switch. I just remember, because like I don't mind, like there have been many times where I just needed gameplay footage of a game, and so I just bought the game like on Steam or whatever. Like I don't mind paying, it's for the show.
Right.
But it was something where for whatever reason there was just not a way for me to do that. And so I ended up having to like, download a pirated copy of Pinball Arcade, which just kind of felt crappy. Like I don't like, I used to do that when I was younger, but now I don't need to be pirating, current generation games. Like I know I'm saying that while we're playing Saturn games on a pirate device, but these are primarily games that you can no longer buy from the publisher. So
right.
But if it's a game that I can still just buy legitimately, I would just kind of rather do that.
Yeah, I feel much the same way. It's one thing if I download a ROM for TMNT3 of the Manhattan Project, because neither Konami nor the the rights holder are releasing that game, so there's no lost revenue there.
Right.
I have a hard rule though. If it's like an indie project, absolutely not. I will not be pirating that. That's just a scummy thing to do.
Right. Mike McFly said Eugene Jarvis. That's who I was thinking of.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think Eugene Jarvis was not somebody who, if I remember correctly, like he didn't have anything directly to do with designing like Mortal Kombat, but I think he was instrumental in getting Ed Boon and the other guy designing video. Like I think Ed Boon and the other guy started out like working under Eugene Jarvis or something. Like I said, I don't remember. I took all these notes and started writing a script, and then like I don't like Mortal Kombat, so I ended up not doing that.
Are we fans of Shinobi Legion on the Saturn? I am. I think it's great. People like to poo-poo it because of the digitized graphics.
Is that the problem? I was just going to ask, like, why don't people like it?
I think it's because it's digitized. But you know what? That gameplay is really smooth. The animation is smooth. There's a lot of cool scaling, rotation effects, and some. I want to see even some transparencies thrown in there. No, it's a solid game. I would absolutely play it. Really good.
One thing funny I noticed about this game is when your ball is coming down, I don't know what you call that, like a chute. It's not a chute, I don't think.
Like a lane or a ramp?
Yeah, like that wire ramp or whatever on the left. You can see that the ball isn't really in the ramp.
Right.
You know, because that's of course just that's like graphics. You know, it's not like your ball's actually in there, and you can tell it's like off a little bit. Like I don't care, but I noticed that when I started playing this game.
Psychic Assassin Teramaru, I haven't played it yet. It's in my mode, and as soon as I get my power supply back, I'll be checking it out, but I haven't played it yet. But yeah, that's one of the excuse me, that's one of the most expensive Saturn games out there. Excuse me.
You should try. I think one of the Pro Pinball games came out on the Saturn too, but on the PlayStation there were 3 of them, and they're pretty good. It's the same thing, you know. It's fictional pinball tables, but they're pretty good. Did you ever pick up, like back in the day? Did you ever buy any of the Sega Ages games?
Not back in the day, so I do have the domestic Sega Ages. That is one of the few games I picked up in the past, I don't know, 2-3 years.
That's a little pricey, isn't it?
It is, and it always was. It wasn't very common. It was published by Working Designs, of all people. It wasn't even published by Sega domestically. So yeah, I picked that up because it's got Space Harrier, it's got Outrun, and it's got Afterburner 2. So really, really, pretty much arcade perfect conversions of those 3 games.
And in Japan, those were 3 separate releases, the Sega Ages.
Correct, yeah. All the Sega Ages were separate releases. And probably, I don't know, maybe about a couple of years ago, I picked up Galaxy Force 2. I found that at a local retro game shop, and it was pretty reasonably priced. It wasn't even that expensive. So I picked up Galaxy Force 2.
Yeah, the only one I have is Outrun.
Okay, well, that's the only one you really need. Although I do like Afterburner.
Oh yeah, I like it. And actually, I want somebody like private messaged me on Instagram the other day. It's funny. Like I don't know. I don't like Instagram that much. Like if I'm looking at Instagram on like my iPad or desktop, it like doesn't tell me if I have private messages, and so like people will like send me messages on there and I don't get them for like weeks because I don't normally look at it on my phone. But he made this little quick video where he was playing Afterburner 2 on the Saturn, and he was using the mission stick. And then he edited it so that it was playing Mighty Wings from the Top Gun soundtrack in the background.
Nice.
It was just really funny. And I think when he made that, I think like I had tweeted something about the Top Gun soundtrack because I think like a couple of weeks ago was like the anniversary of the Top Gun soundtrack hitting #1 on the Billboard album chart or whatever. And so, like, I tweeted out that, like, I retweeted that and said, "Oh, I know what I'm listening to today." And then Norm Caruso, the gaming historian, like, replied to that and said something about Mighty, like, I guess he likes the Mighty Wings song, which I like too. It's Cheap Trick, you know, it's good. And so I think that's probably where the impetus behind that guy sending me that message on Instagram.
Okay.
But it just made me laugh because it was just funny.
Right.
I should have brought down that mission stick. Actually, we could have played some Afterburner, but next time. That mission, I don't ever use it. Like somebody, I think I got that as like a Secret Santa thing. Like somebody sent it to me for Secret Santa, like on the forums or whatever. And I think the only thing I've ever really used it for was playing Panzer Dragoon. Yeah, Scepter Sever says, when's the new Top Gun movie coming out? Yeah, it was supposed to wasn't it supposed to come out like last month or something, but I think because of COVID it hasn't come out. Like I didn't know anything about that until I was at the movie theater watching a movie like back before COVID, and they showed the preview for it, and I was definitely very excited. Like Top Gun is like one of my absolute favorite 80s movies. I saw it in the movie theater. I own it on I don't have it on DVD anymore, I don't think, but I might have it on Blu-ray, but like I have it on Laserdisc. I think I have it on VHS tape. Say what you want about the fact that Tom Cruise is a little bit of a weirdo, but generally speaking, his movies are a lot of fun. And to see a Top Gun sequel, the way they're doing it, because normally I'm not a fan of reboots, but from what I gleaned off of the preview, I think it'll end up being okay. But that's the kind of movie I don't like. Maybe they'll make it available on demand. You can watch it at home, but like that's the kind of movie I want to see in the movie theater. So hopefully I don't get hosed out of that by coronavirus. But I know one of the movie theater chains is doing something where now you can come to the movies for like 15 cents. But I'm gonna give that one a miss.
Right. I can't say I blame you on that one.
Sorry, I'm doing multi-ball here, so I got... This table is just way easier than War of the Roses or whatever it was called.
Right.
Speaking of that, hey, you know what band sucks? Guns N' Roses.
Really?
Yeah, I'm partially saying that just to see if I can piss anybody off, but...
Oh, okay. I mean...
I just really hate Axl Rose, It's like three cool guys and then Axl Rose, Because isn't that what...
I don't know.
Wasn't Velvet Revolver just like Guns N' Roses, but with a different... Didn't it have the dude from Stone Temple Pilots as the lead singer or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Because I remember people would say like, "Oh, Velvet Revolver's like a super group." It's like not really. It's just like, it's just Guns N' Roses without this crappy singer. Death Watch, huh?
I don't know. Appetite for Destruction was a good album.
No, it really is. I mean, if those songs come on the radio, it's not like I'm changing the channel or something. But But Axl Rose just seems like a highly objectionable human being.
Fair point.
Sorry, this game's taken a while. This table is just so much easier than...
Right.
So that Necronomicon one, how many... Does that have an equal number of tables to this one, or... Because this has quite a few.
Yeah, this one... So this one's got 4. Let's see here.
Oh, were there only 4?
I don't remember. I don't know, I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's pretty comparable, like 3, 4, something like that.
It's funny, this Gladiator in the middle of the table reminds me of, like... Wasn't there a guy that was dressed just like that in the movie Gladiator?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
And I just saw... Like, one of the videos that YouTube keeps trying to get me to watch is, like... I don't know, I forgot... It's some magazine or newspaper, I forgot who. They keep doing all these videos where, like, actors just sort of talk to the camera about, like, their most famous roles. And they had Russell Crowe, and man, that guy's definitely chubbed up quite a bit. I mean, I'm no one to talk. I'm not, but it's like, how do you go? Like, that guy was so.
It happens to the best of us.
He was so rocked out in Gladiator, and it's like, man, like, how could you let that go? Like, if I ever put in the work and had like washboard abs and pecs, like, you gotta preserve that. But
it's a lot of work, though.
Yeah, but hey, good on him, because let himself go, and he probably doesn't really care, and I'm sure he's not doing too bad with the ladies anyway. So,
sure.
All right, what do I have left here? So I'm going to let you go. Don't worry. I'm just trying to do some
Yeah.
bookkeeping here to see what I'm going to play after you're gone. There's actually only 2 more games left on the list. So, and that's In the Hunt and High Velocity, which I don't really have any experience with either game. I played In the Hunt just a little bit, but just a little bit. So we can check both of those out, but probably just pretty briefly. And then, because I mean, we've been streaming now for over 3 hours, so you know, it's after midnight now where Alex is, so we gotta cut him loose and let him go. But thank you so much for coming on the stream and sharing your Saturn knowledge and experience with the rest of us.
Man, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, man. Like, this has been a blast. So, I love it when we collaborate on projects
Yeah.
together. It's always a pleasure working with you. And I think I could speak for Jeff and John. We love it when you're on the show. So, it's great to be able to, poke our head in and say hi here too.
Yeah, well, I feel the same way, and we should do this. We should do this more often. Part of the reason I bought a second computer monitor down here is to make it easier to have a guest on, because that way, like you and I are video chatting via Discord, and I have
Sure.
that over on a side monitor so that I can capture Alex's face and put it into OBS here. So that was to make that easier, but then I haven't really been streaming lately. So and yeah, Jeff says we want more Chris on our. Yeah, well, I mean, anytime, dude. Like, I don't, like I said, I was bummed out that I couldn't be on the DOS stream, but I'm not going to invite myself. But I'm just going to say, anytime, next time or something, let me know, because I love, like you just said, I love collaborating with people too, especially.
Oh yeah,
people
for sure.
who
And
are my
we'll
friends.
make it happen. We'll make it happen here in next year, hopefully earlier. But we'll definitely have you back on the show if you want to be on. The door's always open, man. You're always welcome on the show
Cool,
anytime.
man. Thank you. All right, so that's it. I guess we'll say goodnight to you.
Yep.
And I'm going to keep streaming for a little while longer so people don't have to leave. Although if you're only here for Alex, then I guess you should go ahead and go now. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it then. So
All right.
good night, and thank you again for being
Thank you, man.
here. All right. Take care.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. He's gone now. So sorry. Oh, hey, Akil. We got $10 from Akil. Thanks, man. That's much appreciated. Now I can open the stream thing back up here. How do I even want to do that? Yeah, maybe not. All right. Anyway, okay. So big thanks again to Alex for being here. So we got 2 more games that we're going to play. Before we do, I'm just going to reiterate for anybody that wasn't here before. Like I said earlier, I am going to start streaming more often on Twitch, although I will still be doing some streaming here on this channel. Like I said, streams like this that are more like organized, planned in advance. I think Twitch is going to be better for just sort of streaming just off the cuff. Like, I feel like streaming this afternoon. I'm going to start streaming. I'm going to do it over there. So if any of you guys are already Twitch users, it's just CG Quarterly, twitch.tv/CG Quarterly, if you want to throw me a follow there. Okay, let me make the chat window here a little bit bigger. So I forgot. Did I even say what the 2 games are? That I just saw Jeff say that. Do a sports episode with me. I don't know if you're still here, Jeff, but I would 100% do that. Nobody ever wants to talk about. Oh, good, yeah, you're here. Nobody ever wants to talk about sports games. I love playing old sports games. If you want to do an episode about sports games, I'm your guy. So the 2 games we have left are In the Hunt, which was don't Johnny Carson with that pencil. What is that? What did Johnny Carson do with a pencil? I don't even remember. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So I wanted to do like some kind of driving game, and Alex had suggested High Velocity because I've already streamed Daytona USA and Sega Rally previously. And so he said, oh, you should check out High Velocity. It's pretty neat. And then the other game we have that I already mentioned is In the Hunt. So since In the Hunt is like the more N64 sports exclusives, you're starting to lose me a little bit. I'll still do it, but now I'm a little bit less excited about it. So let's check out high velocity first, just because that way we're ending the stream within the hunt. Maybe we're kind of ending on a high note a little bit. So turn the Saturn back on and switch the view back over, and we can get rid of that. So we got the Escher. Somebody mentioned that the Escher print was back. Michael's Workshop. Which, by the way, since Michael's Workshop is here, can I reach? I'm not going to reach way over there. He sent me a really cool book, the Lego animation book, and it's supposed to be about like using Legos to make movies, and that was just very thoughtful of him. And it's still sitting here because I was going to send you a thank you card and I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'm still going to. But so just I already messaged him privately to say thank you, but I'll just say it again. Thanks, man. Okay, hopefully I have high velocity on here. Actually, this is not a complete ROM set. Okay, we have it. Ooh, Mountain Racing Challenge. All right. This is like a mostly complete ROM set. Like I said, it's redump games, but I didn't just want to download the entire redump set because it's just too many games. Because there's so many Japanese games that, you know, if you don't speak Japanese, you can't play. There's a lot of like, you know, just role-playing games or just like weird Japanese games that I'm just not going to be into. So I really kind of went through there and I downloaded each game individually, which ended up taking me a really long time. But so yeah, so my point is there are some games, like this is not a complete North American ROM set because I did skip a few. Although there might be like a couple of sports games that I didn't download, but I think it should be everything else. But I haven't looked and seen what I have and what I don't have. I don't know what we're doing here, so I definitely feel like I've played this game before. What is that, a Supra on the right? Yeah, I've played this game. Which one is gas? Okay, here we go. Whoa, that's very sensitive. This is pretty good, though. I don't like the view. Can I change the view? Sorry. Oh, yeah, here we go. Sorry, I was pushing all the buttons. All right, yeah. I thought I didn't like this view, but it turns out that I do. Little floaty. I don't know if this game is compatible with with the 3D pad, or I do actually have the official Saturn steering wheel, but I don't have it down here. So the thing that kind of sucks about that steering wheel is it doesn't. I mean, I guess this was kind of common for back then, but it doesn't have like clamps on it or anything, so that you can actually clamp it to like the tabletop or your desk or whatever. I want to say it might have suction cups on the bottom, but like that really limits the kind of things you can stick it to, because like this is a wooden desk, but this desk doesn't have like a glossy finish, so suction cups wouldn't stick to it. So I'd have to get a couple of clamps and like clamp it to the side of the desk. So, but it's too bad because there are some Saturn driving games that are really like almost unplayable if you don't have the steering wheel. I think Manx TT Superbike is like that, and Sega, what is it? Sega Touring Car Challenge, something, that's what it's called. Nearly impossible to play with the standard digital controller. Jeez, maybe not so bad with the 3D pad though. Oh no. I don't know how loud the game audio is, but this music's pretty good. It sounds pretty quiet in my ears, though, so I don't know if you guys can really hear it. Sorry, I know I'm not driving that well, but think I'm not hitting the brakes often enough. So that's better. No. All right, done. Do you sit on it? I'm not. I mean, maybe a kid could sit on it. I don't think a grown man could really put the steering wheel between your legs in a way that you could really use it. All right. Good night, Jeff. Thanks for hanging out, man. That's awesome. I mean, I'd have to look at it again, but I don't know. All right. What do you guys want to look at? One more track, maybe? Oh yeah, next. Hopefully next heat means a different track. Was this the 3 different? Oh, let's try this one then. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mike. I'm not sure if like the midsection of it is like tall enough that I would have enough clearance over my legs. Wait, what? It looked almost like an NSX or something. Well, whatever it is, let's try that one. I don't care for the color though. Let's go. Yeah, like I say, it looks like an NSX. Those were cool cars, man. I don't know how the price of those has gone. For a while, you could get an NSX, like an original, not because I know they're remaking the NSX now. But for a while, you could pick up an NSX for I would say like reasonable money. Like if someone was really a car enthusiast, like just a working class Joe like myself. That you could still get an NSX, but a lot of sports cars from the 80s and 90s have suddenly got a lot more collectible than they used to be. Like go try to buy an air-cooled Porsche 911 now. But for a long time, like before they switched to not being air-cooled anymore, you could pick up a used 911 for not too bad of money. And I mean, now you can still pick up a used 911 for not too bad of money if you get like an early water-cooled, like a 996. But sorry, I know I'm talking about something that like probably 2 people in the chat care about. But really, I just wanted to say that you used to be able to get a 99 or a NSX for reasonable money, but maybe not the kind of thing that you'd want a daily drive or anything. But if you had the discretionary income to have just sort of like a car in the garage that you only took out on the weekends or something. I have a car like that, but it's an old Volkswagen Beetle. So, speaking of that, Mike, are you still here? Did you finish up that steering wheel installation? I seem to remember you posted a picture when you were I was wondering if you put the horn button on, and if you did, does that mean that my face is no longer on the steering wheel? That would be kind of a bummer, but I'm glad that steering wheel went to somebody who could make use of it. See, I think I'm supposed to be doing a lot more sliding than I'm doing here. But this is kind of a cool track. You notice there's been multiple times where you could choose like 2 different paths, like maybe they were like shortcuts or something. Why did that guy just pass me? Oh, I didn't realize that. If you look at the map, you can see there's a part where both ways are on the same road. So that guy's really kicking my butt then. There you go. Well, it wasn't that good, but it was better. Oh, Oh boy. Yeah, so the thing with that steering wheel, Mike, I forgot if I told you the story of how I got that steering wheel, but so basically I sent him, I had a brand new, it's a remake or whatever. I don't know what a better word is. It's like a third party replica of an original steering wheel for like an early Beetle. And like I bought one for my Beetle, and I went to go put it on, and it seemed like somebody had already tried to install it and stripped one of the screw holes and then just packaged it back up and like returned it. And I'm going to get In the Hunt going while I'm talking. And they just turned around and sold it to me. And so I returned it. I said, hey, the screw hole is stripped. I think it's the screw hole to hold the horn ring on. And so I sent it back, and they sent me a new one. And I had it for, I don't know, a few months or whatever. Well, I guess longer than that. And then I noticed that the steering wheel itself started developing cracks in it from the heat, except that, like, my car was always in the garage. So, like, I don't understand how it was getting hot enough to start cracking. But all I did was I sent them an email, and I just said, like, look, I'm just telling you that, I've had this for, like, 6 months or a year, and it's already starting to crack. I don't know where you're getting these, but you might want to consider finding a different vendor. Like, I wasn't trying to get like a discount. I wasn't trying to get anything. I was just trying to tell them, like, hey, like, because it didn't cost that much money. And they sent me back this email, and like, if you'll pardon the language, it was a really bitchy email. And the guy was just like, we noticed this is the second time you've tried to return this and blah, blah, blah. Like, we're going to send you another steering wheel, but we consider this matter closed. And I was like, whoa, dude, like, I wasn't even trying to get another steering wheel. I'm just trying to tell you. So first of all, that place kind of lost my business. But second of all, I didn't bother replacing the steering wheel again. So I just had this brand new one in the box in my garage for like a couple of years. And so I was cleaning out the garage one weekend, and I was like, I'm going to send this to Mike. And so I did. You bought an auto shade? Like, is that like a that you stick in the window, or because I don't know how many of you guys remember this. They used to make, it was made out of the same material as like the shade that you would put in your windshield, but it was sort of like this envelope that was open on one side, and you would slip it over your entire steering wheel. But I don't ever see those for sale anymore, but maybe it's because I'm not looking for one. I don't really know. All right, so this is not a game I have much experience with. This is called In the Hunt, and people often compare this game to Metal Slug as far as the visuals go. I don't know. I wasn't watching at the title screen. I don't know who makes this game, so I don't, because Nazca made Metal Slug, so I don't know if it's the same people that made this, and that's why the art style is so similar. Maybe somebody in the chat will know. Does an auto shade throw itself? That's funny. So interesting thing about this game. So obviously you're a submarine, and you can shoot torpedoes. You can also you push a different button and you shoot sort of like little missiles up into the air there. But sort of interesting thing about this game is, even though it plays like a horizontally scrolling shooter, it does not auto scroll. So in that sense, it's more like playing, something like Metal Slug. But it's a neat game, and this game did get, in case you didn't see when I was loading up the disc image, this game did get a North American release. I don't know how much it cost to get a North American version of this game, if you're like really insistent on having a legitimate copy. But for some reason, I feel like this game is probably expensive. thought I'd gotten rid of those guns. Oh, there we go. But anyway, I mean, it just seems like damn it, it seems like a pretty unique game. So, so that's pretty cool. And then I think I saw somebody was asking, like, it was probably like a half hour ago or something, but somebody in the chat, I think, was asking about Galactic Attack. I already played that in a previous live stream. So, that's why. Can I not hit those things? Is that what's going on? All right, let's just get out of here then. Kill this guy. That's why we're not playing it again, was my point. So we don't have auto fire here. And this, oh, there we go. The iceberg was kind of in the way. I see, now we're putting those things up instead. All right. So is there just not a way to... Oh, you can come to the surface. Look at that. Oh, damn it. Oh, hey, Yakka Warner. What's up, man? Sorry, I do want to continue. I want to read the chat real quick. Voice heard this game was made by the same individuals. Yeah, it's possible. Maybe they did it not as part of NASCAR or something. I'm not sure. It's on the PS2. I think so. I mean, it's on the PS1 too. Yeah, I believe so. We be playing any of the Sonic Team games like Brain Rangers or Knights. No, this is actually the last game we're going to play because I've been streaming for 3.5 hours. So... So not today, but I mean, that's certainly something we could play in a future stream. Again, I bought the mode really specifically, you know, as sort of a tool for the show. And the fact that it'll make it easier for me to record gameplay footage of Saturn games also means that it will be easier. Really, man? That it'll be easier to stream. Can I get rid of this guy here? No? All right. Oh, okay, I did. Holy moly. This gets kind of insane. Alright, it only uses 3 buttons. Are you kidding me? Get out of here. YouTube. I got this sudden urge. All of a sudden, I want some Dunkin' Donuts. When I went to those game conventions last year, it was in the fall. Oh man, yeah, continue. And Dunkin' Donuts had their pumpkin spice donuts. It's funny. I'm not usually a fan of pumpkin spice stuff, just because I get annoyed, you know, having to wait an extra long line at the coffee shop, so that you know, all the college girls can. What happened? Can order their pumpkin spice lattes, but pumpkin spice donut holes from Dunkin' Donuts, those are pretty good. Oh my goodness. Please don't kill me. Oh man, now he's got 4. Some other weapon I should be using. Oh, there we go. All right. That wasn't so bad. Well, I still don't understand put some stank on it, man. I don't get it. Yakka Warner, it's been ages since you came to one of these. Well, it's been ages since we had one, so you haven't really been missing them. You should try pumpkin spice cheesecake. I can imagine that would be very good. I think that I would buy that if I saw it for sale. We might be getting a remake of NHL 94, a listing for NHL Rewind 94. Oh, I would definitely check that out. Yeah, okay. Oh, wow. All right, so now we have to keep track of more things that are above the surface. I should just hold down both buttons or something. But, what an interesting game. Like, I'm playing this and I'm wishing that I had played it a long time ago. Like, why don't you hear people talking about this game more often? Oh boy. What was I supposed to do there? This makes me want to watch Hunt for Red October. One more continue. Just blowing up people's houses for no damn good reason. Like, do you not? I don't think you have a weapon that shoots. Oh, well, you kind of do, I guess. All right. I was gonna say that shoots down. You have like depth charges or something. Really? I feel like I'm supposed to be blowing up the bridge and not worrying about the train. Get out of here. There you go. Okay. Hopefully that was the boss, but nah, it wasn't. Mid-level boss. Pause for a second. You're going to make cheese toast. That sounds pretty good. How good is the... I don't know. I'm not noticing a problem. And I'm playing it in a capture window, so, I've got to deal with a little bit of lag. But it's not a problem for me. So, are you asking if I'm playing through a Sega Saturn emulator? I'm not. Oh, Mike's got me covered. All right. Okay. One more. Right. Now it's a boss battle, I think. I don't care for the looks of this at all. Supposed to just wait for an opening? I don't... All right, that's it. Now I'm out of continue. So, oh well. Well, you guys got to watch me play that poorly, but I mean, that looks like the kind of game I'd want to play more. I mean, that looked pretty cool. I'm kind of shocked people don't talk about that game a little bit more often. So, so we're going to kind of start wrapping things up. I don't know if anybody really has anything they wanted to talk about. I'm not ready to talk about what I'm working on next. For the most part, for the show, I have another magazine read through that I'm working on, but you know, I'm really trying to get like the next major episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly done, because I really haven't uploaded anything meaty since the launch of the Dreamcast, which at this point was 11 months ago, and that's not cool. So when can we expect the next Twitch stream? I don't know. I mean, kind of the whole point of the Twitch stream is that it was going to be a little bit more spontaneous, but you know, the idea with that more was like, you know, I would do them more often. They wouldn't be like scheduled once a week kind of thing. You know, like it's a lot easier for me to find an hour or two, especially during the day or maybe on a weekend, where I can just say, I'm just going to turn on whatever system I have hooked up and just stream it for a little while. Jim Dwyer, did you ever get a postcard from Edmonton, Canada? I mean, I don't remember getting one from Canada. I mean, are you saying, I assume you're saying that you sent me one and didn't get a reply. I'll check I keep all my fan mail in a box. I'll check the top of the box, but that's definitely not like me to not respond to somebody's postcard. So, so I'll check again. It's also possible I sent you a reply and you haven't gotten it yet. I mean, if you're paying attention to the news, you know that we have some issues going on with the post office currently. That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh, you're asking because you're going to send one. Yeah, I don't believe anybody has sent me a postcard yet. Yeah, Mike, I was saying that earlier. I'm going to start doing some more casual streaming on Twitch. So twitch.tv/CG Quarterly. Yes, Bob, this stream will definitely get archived. It will. This is CGQ Live episode, what is it, 47 or whatever? Yeah, 47. So it'll be added. It will be added to the playlist, and then at that point, I guess it's going to show up in people's subscription feeds. So, and then sorry, somebody said something else here that I missed. Oh, are you working full-time as normal? Or are you reduced day job hours? I mean, I'm still getting paid my salary, but just functionally, I think I'm working reduced. You know, I'm lucky enough, the kind of job I have, that I guess I have that luxury. I'm working from home, and I'm probably not working as much, although sometimes I am. I still go into work a lot, even though we have some pretty strict rules because of COVID. So, so yeah. And thanks, Kurt, for throwing me the follow on Twitch. I'm trying to get to affiliate status on Twitch. I mean, I just started, but only because it'll save the archives longer if you're an affiliate. I'm not worried so much about monetizing the channel over there. But an Astro City live stream would be cool. That would be kind of difficult to set up because I can't I don't have the equipment to capture footage off of there. So I would have to point a camera just at the screen and then feed that into OBS, which actually I could do. Yeah, I mean, I could, my Panasonic GH5, I could get that dialed in with the right frame rate, and I could pass that into OBS and we could at least try it. Mike, it's CG Quarterly on Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/CG Quarterly. And yeah, it looked good the day I did it with the camera pointed at the screen, except that I forgot to adjust the frame rate once I switched away from Neo Geo, but it still worked pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to play some Turbo CD again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have concrete plans for what I want to stream. It's just more about well, what console do I have hooked up already? You know, I spend a lot of time recording gameplay footage for the show. I could be streaming while I'm doing that, because sometimes I want to record quite a bit of gameplay footage, and that would kind of give you guys a little window into like, well, what's coming up on Classic Gaming Quarterly, whether it's a magazine read through or something meatier, because I'd be recording the gameplay footage for it, and so you could see it. So I think that would be cool. And but like I said earlier, a lot of it just has to do with like, I would like to stream more casually, more often, without it junking up people's subscription feeds here on YouTube. I still want to have these pre-planned streams happen over here. And then just the other thing I'll say in case anybody missed it, I do plan on downloading the stream archives on Twitch, and I will re-upload those here on the live stream playlist, but they'll be unlisted videos, so they don't show up in people's subscription feeds. But if you go click on the playlist, you'll see them. So, okay, I think that's it. I think I addressed people's comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Ernie said, your thoughts on Flight Simulator? I don't have thoughts. People say it's good. Modern Vintage Gamer already said he thinks it's the game of the year. Clint from Lazy Game Reviews seems to be having a really good time with it. So I guess it's good. I don't have the right kind of controls to really be able to, I guess, enjoy that game to its full potential. I forgot what version it was. It was like Flight Simulator. What was that, like 94, 93? Whichever one came out. Might have been the last DOS installment. That one I had. Oh, we got someone from Montreal. COD Pro Camp. I don't know how long you've been here, but Alex that was on the stream from with me, he's from Montreal originally, or the Montreal area, I think. He's a Habs fan, so he's from Canada for sure. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and stop the stream now. 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's pretty good. And like I said, I don't know when I'll be streaming again on this channel. I'm still supposed to do a stream with the Mega EverDrive Pro. Like, they sent me an email and they wanted me to review it, and I kind of said no. I just don't want to do hardware reviews anymore. And so I told them, well, I'll do a stream with it, which I thought would get them to say thanks but no thanks. But they said, oh, okay. And then they sent me one. And which is fine. I don't mind, because really all we're gonna do is play Sega CD games. I mean, but they sent it to me, and then based on the way it was operating with the original firmware, I told them, like, I'm not really gonna be able to give this a real, I'm not gonna be positive about this on a stream. Are you gonna fix these problems? Because other people were complaining about the same problem. It wasn't compatible with the redump CD games. And then he says, we're going to fix that, so hold off, like, don't do your stream yet. And I said, okay. And so I just put it, it's sitting on a shelf back here. And then I emailed them again, and they said, oh, yeah, it'll be like tomorrow or something. I've emailed them, a follow-up email twice with them, and they keep saying, oh, not yet, but I'll get back to you tomorrow. And then they don't. So I'm at this point, if they don't get back to me, like, they can have it back. I have a Mega SD. I don't need the Super Mega EverDrive Pro or whatever. I don't, I took it because they offered it, oh, well, you want to do this? And I go, fine, I'll do it. But I don't know. I don't mind doing a hardware review if I bought it. Like, okay, like the mode. I bought the mode because I wanted it. Because I wanted it. Sure, I'll do a review. I'm not going to do a review of it. I'm saying I could do a review of something like that. But, it's funny because people make comments, about guys like us taking, okay, well, here, I got this Retro Tink. Like, because I did the review of the Retro Tink. I bought that Retro Tink. But, guys like us taking stuff like this for free from the manufacturer and doing a review with it because they say, like, oh, well, gee, I don't, that's not, they're not usually very nice about it, but, they'll make their comments. And I used to think, like, well, that's not cool. Like, I know I'm being objective or whatever. But, the thing I noticed is that when I want to watch a review of something, which isn't usually gaming stuff, but maybe it'll be like photography or videography stuff, like lights. In fact, the light, well, here, it's right Sorry, everything's backwards. Yeah, that light right there in my armpit. That's a light that I just bought, and I wanted to watch a review of it. Like before I bought it, I'm like, well, should I buy this? And every review I clicked, they kept saying, well, this was sent to us by the manufacturer, and I was like, well, then I don't want to watch that. And I would click on videos of people that don't have any viewers, and they would still say, well, we got this from the manufacturer. And I was just like, I really want to watch a review where somebody just bought it, and I couldn't find one. And it was like this light bulb went off in my head, and it's like, that's why people don't want to watch guys like me review things that got sent to us, because it's just like, so yeah, all I'm saying in the future is that, like, I'm not saying I don't want to do hardware reviews, but I think in the future, if I want to do a review, if I really feel like a product is coming out that I'm excited about, I should just buy it. Like, if I'm so excited about it that I want it, I should just buy it and do the review. And then that way I don't have to worry about the whiff of impropriety that some people, I don't think it's improper, just for the record, but I will say that I'm less excited about watching somebody else's review if I know that they were sent it, if it's not somebody I know, right? If it's like another gamer like GameSack, like I don't think GameSack paid for his mode. I don't know that he did or he didn't, but I'm not worried about that because it's Joe. Like, I'll totally watch that review. But when it's just like a photography channel that I don't know, I'm just like, I'd kind of rather watch a review where the person doesn't have some kind of like relationship with the company. But maybe that's just me being a little bit weird. But because yeah, Ryan, Castlemania, I know that, you know, you send stuff out to people to review, and I don't, just for the record, I'm not saying I have a problem with that. I try to run my show in a way that, you know, the kind of content that I want to see. And like I said, I kind of had this light bulb moment where I felt like I kind of understand why people don't want to watch reviews like that. So that's it for I don't think I got on a soapbox there. Like I said, I'm not criticizing anybody else. I'm just talking about how I want to do things. And so anyway, this Mega EverDrive Pro thing is really kind of the last thing where, you know, and it's funny because they sent me the Mega EverDrive Pro, and then because of that, TerraOnion sent me a Mega SD. So I didn't pay for either one of them. So I figured I'll do a stream with both of them and we'll compare them. And that way I feel like it's at least like things are on equal footing. But after that, like I just don't want to do that kind of stuff anymore. Michael's Workshop, I should continue to request hardware for reviews and then send it to you so you can keep it. Well, that's the only way that maybe I'd feel better about it, is if after I was done reviewing it, if I gave it away on my show, because then obviously it's not something that I want if I'm just giving it away. So that's a thought. Because like the thing with the and I know I'm going on about this too long, but the thing with the EverDrives is like I have all the EverDrives and flash carts that I need. And so when a new one comes out, it's just like, yeah, I'll do it, I guess, but I don't want it. But that would be a cool, I'll keep that in mind. Not that I'm going to send it to you for sure, but I'm saying like, I'll keep that in mind as like, okay, maybe I'll let somebody send me something if I think it's something people want to see a review of. And then after I'm done with the review, I'll do a giveaway, on Twitter or I don't know, wherever. So, I'm glad you're all about making me feel better. I appreciate that. So, anyway, that's all I have to say. And the only reason I even went down that rabbit hole, and I apologize for going down the rabbit hole, is just to say that I will be doing, well, maybe that stream with those products if they get back to me and tell me that I can go ahead and do it, because like I'm done bothering them about me doing something for them. But if not, I mean, we can have a stream and just play a Sega CD game or something. So I'm sorry you missed the stream, Ryan, but it is, the archive should be public as soon as it's done processing by YouTube. I'm not gonna like hold it back or anything. The archive of the stream I did on Twitch yesterday should still be on Twitch. I don't remember how long they hang on to those, but I will be re-uploading that here. But it'll, like I said, that's going to be like an unlisted video. So, okay. Anyway, yes, 25 hertz. This stream is too long. I agree. It's time to go. Now it's almost 10 o'clock. Where I am, and I'm sure my wife's getting ready to go to bed, so I'm going to do the same. So Thank you to everybody that that hung out. I didn't get to keep an eye on like how many people were even here. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. I just enjoy streaming. So I'll see you guys again. I don't know when I'll stream again on this channel, but at some point. And like I said, if you throw me a follow on Twitch, then maybe I'll be streaming over there. I'm sure I'll be streaming over there sometime soon. So so yeah, that's it. What do I have to click? Oh, over here. Okay. So again, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you again soon. End.